This is a special meeting mostly for review things that we thought would be good to kind of sneak in before the holiday and kind of long break over the holidays. And then we have some extra agenda items. The first one being a check-in with Pike on the road shoulder work, which is great. But before we kind of get rolling onto that, it sounds like we have some proposed additions to the agenda that I just wanted to kind of put forward. There's the check-in on the ash tree, wood availability, usage, etc. Since we've got Neil here, you wanted to slot that in under the administrative work, or just the?
If we could just do it before the budget, that way.
Sure. Yeah.
Neil can get out of here at a reasonable time for dinner.
That seems reasonable. Everybody good with that? And then the second one is an update from Christy on VLTC input for the city seal usage or town seal usage. How dare I? And I think that'd probably be appropriate to squeeze in with the rest of the reports, if that makes sense. All right, great. So with that, we'll start off with the check-in on the county road repaving project and the shoulder work, I guess, specifically.
Yeah, so just for anybody that's a reminder, we had gotten a quote or estimate from Pike for $16,236 for the shoulder work that you approved. And then they needed to add more material than expected, so the invoice that we received was $25,911. So I invited someone to come and speak, and Nigel Friend is here from Mike.
Hey, Nigel.
Hi.
Thanks for joining us.
Sure. Normally it would have been Norman Patno. He is my paving estimator for this. And this is as far south as he comes. For this general area. He expresses, he was unfortunately not able to attend. He had another bid opening tonight.
Yeah.
But it was important to both of us to come here for sure to continue to hopefully nurture this relationship, even though it is a bit, it's a bit sporadic. Sometimes it takes a few years in between paving jobs. But it's a relationship that we want to make sure that we're trying to express that's valuable to us as well.
Yeah.
So I was happy that you did just say the quote/estimate, right? And the reason I say that is when it comes to shoulder gravel, whether it's a state job, a town job, any job at all, that number that is generated really is an estimate. Whereas the hot mix is being placed on a flat surface, whether you have to shim it once first to get it really flat for the top coat to then be more of a finite number. The shoulder gravel is going on the edge of the shoulder of the road on top of maybe gravel, but maybe grass, and you're skipping some areas and you're not skipping other areas, and some areas might be deeper. So, because of the nature of the frequency of the paving, I don't know if maybe Norman didn't make that, quite clear enough that it was intended to be an estimate. Whether he was only addressing Kari or John, right? John?
He was working with me on it.
Yeah, that's right. So I did want to talk about that, and a couple of things Norman wanted me to talk about. So the original intention of the distance involved on this stretch of road was 4 miles, right? What we use to kind of generate a tonnage, when we do a 2-inch paving job, whether it's for the state of Vermont or a town job, but typically we think of it in terms of DOT, a 2-inch paving job, and what will it then take to provide a 2-foot compacted when it's done with a roller, but a 2-foot shoulder along the edge of that new pavement to, one, provide a safe place for a car tire to maybe slip off the pavement onto, but also in terms of maintaining the integrity of that new pavement. The gravel is there to then, anything that does kind of go off and on, hopefully won't allow it to crack as soon as it otherwise might. So, so we look at it in that regard. So if it was a 4-lane road, a 2-foot shoulder, Norman, when he drove it the first time, he thought probably won't be the entire 4 miles that we'll need this on 4 lane miles on each side. That's that 120 tons or 6 loads per mile, per lane mile. So he thought it was maybe we were talking about maybe it was 3 miles at most. And what he did, and it may not be that much, and so what he did is he drove it, marked a bunch of stops and starts for our crew to follow based on places where maybe the shoulder rose up enough to meet it and we'd be able to skip around quite a bit. So he kind of pegged it as 200, but when he did the 200, he had not done that drive-through. He did the drive-through, and in the process of doing the drive-through, he was flagged down by your postal delivery person, who voiced her displeasure with the amount of drops that were at all the mailbox locations. And she said to him, I hope that these are being put out to the mailboxes as they would on a state project. And she's not wrong. That is generally what happens. So that, he made sure to then encapsulate that. So, in terms of looking for areas that, either had a safety issue for skipping off of, or places where the dip was there, he felt once he marked it, he was pretty good. I don't think he followed back up with you after having marked it. So I don't know that he ever did a drive-through to kind of show you the marks or
Right,
not.
he had mentioned that he wanted to do that. The first I had heard of the overage was after the fact. He said it ended up being more material than I thought, but I didn't know the number at that point.
Yeah, that's right. He had told me about it was either a text exchange or some sort of, and you would just kind of I think he'd reached out and said, I don't know if you've looked at it, I think it looks really good, and by the way, we ran over.
Yeah.
And I think you had just kind of responded in an affirmative, but he should have dug in a little deeper probably. And when I say that to you, what does it mean to you, right? I mean, it's kind of like a house painter telling you it took me more paint than I thought it was going to be. Well, is that on you or is that on me?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I knew at that point it was going to be a matter of, let's see what the bill.
That's right. So we've placed it out there. I would say, I think everyone, the look of it is what everyone wanted to go out there. The formula is always flawed, and I think part of what played into it is, again, it's that infrequent nature of the relationship. That we should have made sure everyone was understanding it to be an estimate, that the number may not be finite, locked in as it normally is. Most of his customers that he does have a more frequent relationship with, I think they've had enough experience with it to know that it's never going to come into the dot like a pavement generally will. That even the state of Vermont, the same sort of situation. We started a project this year up in the Burke area, again a 4-mile type project. That entire project was supposed to be 880 tons. We've done half the job, pulled out for the winter, and we've already used 700 tons. They have no problems. They know that they'll be paying for it because, again, of the safety issue and the protection of the mix. So I do think, I would say that, the conversation probably wasn't as in-depth as it should have been. To make sure that everyone was on the same page. Do we stop if we've hit the amount? An effort should have been to try to get in touch with yourself or someone from the highway department. Do you want us to stop or do we continue? In that conversation can happen. But again, I think his other relationships, he probably has a better feel for what folks want him to do or not do at the time that the work is being undergone. So it did result in an overage of about 6 loads of gravel, which came from our facility out in Williamstown, and were placed without that discussion of do we stop or do we continue. I know that at one point Norman kind of he had a conversation with me and someone else, and we said, well, there was a question about the overage. What could we offer as a discount? We did offer something as a discount, and the conversation came back with, we're not so sure that that's still a fair rebate. So I guess to try to get to a point where we're not having a weekly, well, how about this? One of us for sure wanted to come and thank you for extending the invitation to come speak with you.
Absolutely.
So I guess we're kind of curious, what would the town like to see credited back to you? What is that amount that feels like the right amount based on the conversations that did and didn't take place?
Well, you're mulling that, and I'd just like to add a little bit of context. I do want to, I just want to say that I think you're right that this group of people is not experienced with repaving projects, and it had been at least a decade since Calais has done any repaving, so that does help to explain. Another factor I would say is that I don't think this document says quote or estimate.
Correct.
Which, you know, is fine. And then the other thing I would say is that we actually there was some flex in the paving project because there was patching done. And in that case, I thought we had a very good arrangement of a not to exceed. And that's what happened, and it all worked out. So when it came to this project, I think seeing this quantity here and just thinking, oh, well, you know, that's what they're gonna do, because that's what it says here. So I think that's all context for us, and I think we are happy with the outcome, you know, in terms of the quality of the work. So I want to emphasize that.
Yeah, and I guess for further context, I guess I was probably one of the more vocal advocates for having Pike perform the work, and a lot of that came from, I think in the initial bid for the paving portion, there was the extra shoulder work, and at that time we rolled back the shoulder work because we were thinking we'd self-perform, and then it came time to self-perform, and I was checking the math again, and I came in with like napkin math that was pretty close to what you were estimating for tonnage, and that was, you know, significantly notably over what our foreman was estimating for average, and considering kind of the for overage and materials, and that all kind of played into a conversation around like, okay, well, it seems like there's two estimates that seem to be fairly aligned, plus, you know, we're getting close to the end of the season, maybe this isn't a great use of our time, et cetera, et cetera. So you know, I think if we were in a position where this was like a 10% overage or something like that, it'd be a different conversation. But this is now, I guess, the second contract we've had for contracted work this year where there's been an overage that is far exceeded what a margin for error would be, and you know, part of it's a conversation internally, like what are our checks and processes for making sure we're getting ahead of these conversations and defining them the best we can, because we do value our contractor relationships and want to make sure that, you know, we keep the room for that dialogue open, and we can kind of trust people to do the work we need to. And you know, frankly, I think that I'm kind of curious now that there was that input from the Postal Service, because when I was doing the math, I was like trying to be as conservative as possible with it, you know, assuming that it was going to be like a 24-inch width side, and you know, it's not going to be, you know, the 2-inch shim coat, like, so let's call it an average of 4 inches or something like that. And at the time, it was the context for me, this is just my recollection, was that it was going to be like the entire length of both sides. And so when there were just segments of it that were filled in, that was just a discrepancy for me. But I also know that there were some pretty serious low spots that were going to gobble up a ton of material. Like that was pretty obvious. So from my perspective, I think that there's still work to be done, because I think the reality is that we're not likely going to be repaving or shim coating like other areas, and knowing that there are still areas of the existing blacktop that like, or traveled lane that drops off, you know, a couple of inches, and that degrades the quality of the road faster. Like, I think we need to have some of those other segments done. So I don't really know how to frame this in the context of this particular conversation, other than saying like it would be nice if we had, I guess, a little line of sight on maybe there's an opportunity for us to both benefit from continuing work next, if we can see like, I don't know, like a meet in the middle type situation on this particular one, and we can reassess a finishing of the work next year, I don't know. Maybe that's premature to make an arrangement like that for a municipality. But,
I'm gonna suggest that you have this conversation later in the meeting.
yeah,
I think it's one of the things about select boards, it's hard to have this conversation on the spot like this, and people can kind of reflect, and we can have a conversation amongst us. I'm happy to call you or Norm in the morning.
That'd be fine.
Okay, really appreciate you coming out.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Yeah,
Really appreciate
absolutely.
it. This is helpful.
I don't have to go through the road closed area.
we should anyway.
You can take the road all the way north. Well, thank you very much for the invitation.
No, yeah, thank you, and thanks for the explanation. Thanks for the time,
Thanks for the
and
work.
really do appreciate the work. I mean, that was.
It certainly looked.
I dipped off the road in a couple of those areas where I needed to, and it was nice to have the shoulder there.
Yeah, that's right.
Absolutely. So you want to chat about while we're talking trees? And
Yes, so
roads?
initially we thought that there would be no excess fiber, that the landowners were gonna take all the logs. Turns out we have about an estimate of 10 cords
Wow.
of log length ash.
That's a high.
That's on the high end, no more than, not to exceed 10
Not to
cords.
exceed 10 cords.
And so we'd like to provide that value to the town if possible. So Neil and I have discussed, first of all, where could it be dropped? I've made arrangements for the rec field in East Calais in the parking lot, and it's been plowed. We've got permission to use that. Then the question is how, and this is all with your blessing, but how would we make it available? I think my thought was, we've already had several inquiries, by the way, but if we put out a post on Front Porch Forum broadly, and then based on how much is there, select at random, 3 or 4 people, that's enough so people are getting maybe 2 cords. I don't know what your opinion about that is, but not a lot of people, but a number of people, and then select them at random. Have them come, they'd have to sign a waiver saying they understand that the town is not liable for any injury that would happen, something like that, which I've asked the attorney to draft up. But that's our thinking so far. Anything to add to that?
Yeah, no, I think you're right. We kind of like see what we've got there and how much there is and how many people are interested. And if it's just the 3 people we've already heard from, great. Like, let's do it 3 ways. But if there are more people who are interested, maybe we could find a way to.
So these are logs, or they're bucked up to like log length?
They'll be log length, and my thinking is that it'll be people who have the capacity to come buck it up and put it in their pickup truck and take it away.
Oh, I see.
But we put it in a safe place, so they're not on the side of the road doing that. And there's some deadline presumably, because it
I
should
was
be
gonna say,
there
there
next
should be a
summer.
by when, yeah.
Yeah, the Michelle at Hudson said, as long as it's not too long, so I would think a couple weeks, something like that, we want it,
Kind of get people to,
before it gets buried in snow.
yeah.
Yeah, right.
And who cleans up the mess in the spring?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a good
There's gonna be a
question.
lot
Good
of
question.
sawdust and stuff there too, and bark and all that stuff.
Yeah, right. And
Who
maybe-
owns a rec field?
Could be firewood left over,
The
could be
rec
that someone doesn't get to all
Yeah,
of it.
so it's not the town that owns it,
Right.
so they need to be indemnified as well with that.
Okay.
Okay.
Is there any concern about ash borer proliferation, or are we all
No,
contaminated?
because,
already?
yeah, exactly.
Okay.
It's nearby enough that it's not a concern.
You'd have to be local people, I think, correct?
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, Calais.
Yeah, it's assumed that Calais is,
Yeah,
affected.
actually, the landowner lives in Barry but owns land up here. And so I did have a conversation about, he was originally thinking of hiring someone to bring it to Barry. And that's fine, the state says, that's fine, because they're all infested too. But, if you're going further away from that.
Yeah.
but-
Those are the gables, correct?
What's that?
The gables?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that cleanup piece, but that's true and that's important.
What about
because-
the trash depot? It might be there's space there, it might be an easier place that in the spring the crew
Push
could
it to
just
this end.
push it to the
Right over
road.
the edge.
Right, yeah,
Right, the cleanup
whatever.
wouldn't really be.
Right.
Cleanup
Well,
would be a lot easier than having to pick it up and move it.
But is the volume of wood gonna be too much of an issue up at that?
Yeah,
I don't
people,
know.
the cars need to get in on
Right, I
Saturday.
guess it wouldn't.
I can't
yeah.
picture how much space that is.
It's
They
not
can.
a lot.
very much.
It's not a lot.
It isn't. They can stack it up neatly, they've got a tractor and they can unload it, so it wouldn't be a sprawling pile, but, it's still a.
Problem stacking those, people have to
Maybe-
get the logs
Ten
out.
I was gonna
Right.
say, each
Yeah.
person's gonna come in there and
Right,
do
yeah.
it themselves and
And then
then
it will
leave
sprawl.
behind.
Yeah.
thing.
It'll disperse.
Maybe we can get a
That's right.
verbal agreement that they'll come and help
Be
join
kind.
Neil and I in the spring.
Yeah.
We'll bring a picnic.
Yeah, I guess I'm a little less worried about the cleanup because I think there are probably folks that we could rally if there are logs
Yeah.
left over to come and pick it up. Plus that parking lot is gravel and I think it'd be pretty easy to just kind of push things around
We're
and
just
clean it
talking
up.
bark and
But yeah,
pieces, right?
still, yeah, I think it would, I'm actually a little more concerned with like trying, even if it's the tidier the log stack, the dicier it is for multiple people to be working from it and trying to cut out log lengths and that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's not,
East Montpelier did something similar,
Similar.
but, knew ahead of time and they
They could do like
actually brought it to the road crew brought it to individual people's houses. Here's your 2 cords, you know,
Okay.
set it in their yard. But I don't think we have the capacity to do that.
right.
How
It's a
long
lot.
are the logs gonna be?
I think it'll vary because it's kind of what they cut on the
Yeah,
roadside, but
okay.
probably not more than 8 feet. Probably that's kind of like, as long as they
Yeah,
would
definitely
cut
need
it.
trucks.
Does it make sense for us to think about doing it that way, of just depositing several logs at each interested party's home or something?
We'd have to have a way to do it.
Yeah.
You know, they can do
handling's
it, but we're
tricky.
not ready, and we'd have to pay them to do it. If the town had a way to move the wood, then we could have them stack it like we were going to, like we were talking about at the lot there, and then we could move it after the fact. But I'm not sure that
Parking lot
we
over
really
here.
have that the road crew has a way to like move logs into a truck and take them
Right.
out.
Yeah,
So,
it's not in the contract.
I wonder if we just, yeah, it's also not in the contract, that'd be stickier. I think, I like trying to get, if we already have, I also think that it'd be nice to like make it like more broadly available. It sounds like the folks who are interested are mostly either the property owners or folks who know the work is being performed, right? We haven't announced it more broadly that there
We
could be stuff
announced it on
available.
Front Porch Forum when we first
Oh, yeah.
started doing this project, and that's where the initial interest from a couple of people.
Sure,
Still
came
stems from.
Yeah.
okay.
yeah, I suspect we're gonna hear from a number of people once we
Yeah.
say.
Yeah,
we
would
would.
think.
I would think so.
We could also like try to rally a little crew of volunteers to do the cutting and then
Right,
deliver it in pickup trucks or whatever. Like I would be into that if there's some other people that were doing it.
Yeah.
Um, as long as we don't get stuck in that position where we've kind of made a pile of logs and don't have
Mhm.
anything to do.
yeah, I mean, I think that if we put it out to a broader community, I'd be willing to put some hours into, you know, bucking up some of the logs and helping with the distribution and that sort of thing. If there is an increased number of people who are interested in other than those 3, but I think if we use the East Calais lot and like split it into like three piles that, so folks aren't like trying to pull logs off of one big pile,
Yeah.
and then if there's some volunteer time to buck up whatever's left over, or, you know, to manage that, and then also, like, we can figure out some time
It's,
to do some cleanup.
I was just gonna say, it could be that people express interest but don't have any way,
Right,
like that they have expressed real need
yeah.
and they don't have
Right.
any way to get at it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
So
that's
people would
right.
most like to help with it. probably.
Right.
Yeah.
I think we need the waivers from the volunteers too, sorry to say.
So to be
I would think
clear,
the waiver would cover both anyway, right? Like waiver could cover both anybody who's volunteering
Yeah,
to
but
facilitate, yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
so the vendor that's doing the work, will put these logs on a log truck and take them and deliver them to the rec field, is that your understanding?
Yeah, not a log truck, but he's got a trailer he uses for stuff that holds probably a couple cords of wood. So,
Okay.
but yes, we've kind of got him for 3 days, and he's got 2.5 days of work, and then he's got half a day left over to deliver that stuff for us.
Okay.
So he's bringing it up there. And he has a tractor with a loader on the front that he can
Mhm.
load his trailer with and unload it.
It's a little complicated, but it's also valuable.
Yeah, I
I
like the idea.
really like the
making
idea of making it available to folks who,
Mhm.
who may really be in need in it. And to, yeah, it would be hard to coordinate a few people for a day or two to help
So
lock up stuff.
the people who are interested, so it gets put on Front Porch Forum, and then the people who are interested are gonna contact the town, contact you,
Yeah,
and then we'll see if it's not a large number.
then we'll make a decision about how to allocate it.
Yeah.
I suggest that just Neil and I make that decision.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
and-
thank you.
And, yeah, that makes sense. And if, depending on the group, it might be that, you know, there can be a big day
Mhm.
where
Right.
they're all coming for it, and we have some volunteers.
Yeah, I want to be careful about
You
managing
won't want to have too
expectations around
many,
that.
yeah, yeah.
I think the framing it is that you kind of have to, if you're signing up, you have to
Be
either
ready,
be able to do it yourself or have some
exactly,
friends
yeah, yeah,
in a
Yeah.
vehicle,
yeah,
and then we can provide some assistance.
yeah.
Is there enough space there for a few different log piles so it's not all?
Yeah,
I think so.
I think
at the rec
so.
field there is.
That's my concern too, about having too many chainsaws going in one spot at one time.
Yeah,
Somebody turns around with a running saw, and
Yeah,
someone's standing there, and it happens.
Yeah, much better if it's spaced out over.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think if they go in like length, then you could probably have them
there's more space there.
yeah.
in parallel pretty,
Be on the outside of the wall.
yeah,
Not
whoever's in the middle.
All right.
Yikes.
All right, well, thanks for that idea. This is
okay,
good.
great,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we'll move forward.
sounds good.
Okay.
Right, well, so then we can transition into the fiscal planning. The first item up for discussion is the Conservation Commission Reserve Fund, since Neil's here, and that was one of the bigger
Right.
ticket items. So hopefully everyone's had some more time to review the documents that Neil and the Conservation Commission have put together, kind of foretelling historically where the fund has been used and some of the upcoming projects over the next couple of years and rationale behind that. I think it's pretty self-explanatory, so rather than kind of have Neil dive into, you know, a 30,000-foot view, maybe it makes sense to just go straight into questions if folks have questions about those. Barbara, yeah, go ahead.
I was just wondering, it talks about to date, Calais has spent just under 150K.
Yeah.
From when?
Yeah, the fund was actually created in the late 80s, but we didn't, it kind of like, the town paid into it until it built up enough, and I think it was kind of the mid-90s when we started
Using some of it.
using the.
So that 700, that time frame is from the like 90s to now,
Yeah,
so maybe
Right.
30-year
30
time.
years.
Okay.
That's right,
All right,
yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, and it's kind of sporadic, but part of this is that there's increased interest at the state level for conservation. We're starting to see more of it,
Mhm.
and I think that's what we want to be in a position to like support people when the projects come up.
Mhm.
Um,
And the balance of the fund now is like 50-something?
It's in that
49,000, I think, yeah, and this, I will also point out that so we just did the Fitch project.
Yep.
The second project is less than I had expected, I like got a number from them, so there's.
Is that the Oleander one?
Yeah,
Olander?
that's right, Paul Olander. is only asking for a couple thousand.
Yeah.
So we will still have money in the fund for another project when it comes up. We're not, I had kind of previously
You thought that was gonna be
we were
large?
depleting the fund, that's not the case, but.
Okay. Okay, that's
Yeah.
helpful to know also.
49,236.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
That's minus the Fitch commitment
With
or
the
not?
Fitch.
Oh,
Taken out or not?
that includes, it's prior to the Fitch.
Prior to
Okay,
the Fitch.
okay.
So 40,
So 34 and then another 2, so down to like
32.
32 or so
Yeah,
at this point.
yeah.
Okay.
Although
Yeah,
that,
so
that 2135 with Olander isn't approved yet, correct?
That's right, and we
Correct.
haven't, the Conservation Commission hasn't looked at it yet, so we
Okay.
don't know if it's.
So it's not totally
That's
sure,
the request.
but the lowest right now is 32.
Yeah,
These ones.
that's right,
Okay.
yeah. So I think our hope was like, we wanna feel like we're in a position to support at least a couple of projects
Yeah.
at any time.
Yeah.
And I think we originally had said that 30,000, because we're really depleting the fund. I don't think that that's true anymore, but in my eyes, like, if we could contribute 20,000 to it, then we would really be in a good place, and we'd know that the fund had enough to, do projects upcoming over the next year or two.
Is it that hard to approve funds for the, I guess it's not in the budget, right? So
We're
if we
talking about-
didn't do this and somehow there was more money that, more opportunities.
Right.
It
It's
wouldn't
not
be
in the
budgeted. Okay.
Right.
I'm sorry, I'm just saying a stupid thing out loud. Working it through.
No, I think that kind of gets to a line of discussion for me with like, there's a lot of different entities that are involved in these programs. There's, the Land Trust, and I haven't heard of the Northern Rivers Land Trust. Presumably they have somewhat different missions to a certain extent, and their sources of funding are made up differently depending on, the project and the nature of the easement. I was surprised to hear that there's so much of a difference, I guess, between like the Bassage one, which was like more of a
Stewardship.
tax project and stewardship project, as opposed to like an outright sale of the
Yeah.
development rights, which is a whole nother level, and that changes the calculus for the land trust on like what they want to document in perpetuity. What generally, well, so two questions. Are projects viewed more favorably by the preservation entities if there are like local public funds that are being put towards them?
Yeah, that's a lot of, like, the Fitch one, the Housing Conservation Board is involved. Like, they say, we're gonna contribute this big chunk of money contingent on seeing that there's local support for the project. So like, that's why, something like that, we put in a relatively small amount of money, and it kind of like, there's a lot of leverage there, because it brings in this funding from VHCB or the Natural Resource Conservation Service, I think similarly wants to see that. So usually with conservation easements, usually it's like a pretty small piece of the pie that's local, but it's like people are looking to see that local contribution.
So a local match.
Yeah, it's the local
Yeah.
match.
And are these, so are those figures tied to either like a specific line item in the transaction or a percentage of them, or like a percentage? Like, I think it sounded like with like the Bassage one, I vaguely remember it was like, oh, well, these are like basically the closing costs associated with it, with like drafting the documentation and
Yeah.
et cetera. So that it was like a very specific contribution relative to a line item on the transaction, and
Yeah,
this one
it's
seemed a
not-
little more
there's no
ambiguous.
standard,
Yeah,
I
okay.
think. So it's like, that was, and I like that, I wish it was clear like that, but then, like this Fitch one, it wasn't, it was like, well, we're gonna contribute a little bit towards the whole cost cost of this thing, and it feels a little more arbitrary. And one of the things is that we've variously, in the history of the Conservation Fund, had like more or less involvement, but really a conservation easement is this negotiation between the landowners and the land trust. Hopefully, we're a part of that conversation early, but we haven't always been. Sometimes they'll, come and, hey, we want money for this, like, it's a done deal. And part of what we're trying to do is be more proactive and be a part of the conversation earlier, and particularly a part of the conversation about like what actually gets protected in what way,
Yeah, I think that for me that's a really critical component of it, and like with the Conservation Commission, having an entity that has very specific goals of and priorities around what and how things get conserved and where and how they connect to other parcels that may have so if there were like a tier of priorities around some of these conservation efforts that can get worked into the guidelines, so that I think at some point there's going to be kind of a question around, well, if increased public funds are being applied to this with like greater regularity, what's the public benefit? And articulating, I think that like, well, these properties get preserved in perpetuity, et cetera, has its value for sure, but like that only I think gets you to a certain part of that conversation, and saying like, well, this particular parcel is part of this area that's more greatly defined as like having this particular need or value, and like this is our way of like working towards that that particular plan.
I think that's what has been lacking from the fund guidelines that we're hoping to bring into them is a little bit more of that perspective, of that like vision, and particularly that vision, but also how it interacts with development and like getting housing in a smart way. That's what we've been talking about with the planning commission a lot, is like, I want the map that's like, this is the area we should be building, this is the area we should be protecting, and here's this project that's maybe in a little bit of both areas, like, let's have the conversation about how we actually like encourage affordable housing on this part of it, and conservation over here. That's where I hope that we're going, and I hope that we're getting to a position where we can be a little more proactive. Like I think there are a lot of people out there who are interested in conservation, but kind of haven't dug in or have the sense that it would cost money and they don't want to do it or whatever. So to be in a position where we're actually reaching out to people and finding those opportunities
And I think quantifying it too, like from the long term, like, and this is maybe for the planning commission to really dive into, because that, in theory, I guess it should be part of like their scope of work, but like, all right, if we are making our target to conserve 30%, even if it's 50%, whatever we want the number to be as a community, like having an idea of like what the tax repercussions are of that, from potential revenue loss as a municipality,
Is this happening now as part of the natural resources, do you know?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're
this
meeting
is happening
tomorrow
now.
with the planning commission.
Okay.
And that's what we're, like tomorrow, we're meeting about kind of what are the action steps we can put in the town plan that will actually support that really thoughtful development and conservation, and pull those together.
So,
And that's part of the conversation to me, is like, this feels like the right way to do that, to have a good vision and be ready to support the right projects when they come up. Feels better to me than like, well, okay, here's this area we want to conserve, let's put a zoning overlay on there and stop people from building. Like, having it be a voluntary thing where we're supporting people who want to do what we want them to do feels like a really powerful way to do that.
Mm-hmm. That's really encouraging to hear. On the budgetary side, from my perspective, I feel like I always talk on behalf of the whole board, but I think that's a huge chunk of money to be replenishing all in one step. And I'm just sensitive to that, knowing that we don't really have any kind of equitable funding opportunity for like affordable housing development or some other project like that, you know, like we're, because like we, from my perspective again, like as a state, like still have no problem finding ways and mechanisms for, you know, funding conservation, but we're, as much as we're really focused on and concerned about the affordability issue, it still doesn't seem like there's a ton of money being, or resources or whatever thrown in that direction to help kind of stem that issue. And it just feels like it's getting to a palpable level.
Yeah, this is maybe getting away from the conversation a little bit, but like I was overhearing someone talking about like, we need the Affordable Housing Commission,
Yeah.
like that's doing that side of things. I totally agree with that, like.
And I just wonder how sensitive the timing of these projects are. I mean, there's the, like, with, just a house, let's see if we can do a house. We'll start real small, maybe an apartment, a shed.
I hope that, I mean, that's been mentioned in multiple different ways, talking about having some kind of entity around that.
I think that makes sense,
But-
yeah.
I'm, in terms of this conversation,
Yeah.
we're trying to get to what the commission has asked for 20 to 30K to go into the fund for FY27, which, you know, these other things that are happening in the context of the plan, I think is really important and good, and we also will have an opportunity to weigh in on that as a select board.
Yeah.
So, just thinking about the context of the fact that you are doing that work, and I'm, you know, very enthusiastic about it. I just wonder, you know, given what's been spent, like if I see, you know, just with the Hannah Bassage project and the Fitch project together, right, that's a good, where am I at? 75,000 in the last 2 years?
Yeah, is that, I don't remember.
No.
58.5 for the total, what total expenditures were made in the last 2 years supporting the Hannah Bassage? 58.5.
That was
Oh, that was, I think that was the last 2 years included Hannah Bassage and then also the Armstrong. I don't know, maybe there were two.
Armstrong was 30-something.
Armstrong was about.
So that was multiple projects in that
That was
58.
two projects.
Yeah.
Okay,
The
thank
Bassage
you.
one wasn't that.
Yeah,
much.
the projects, I mean, it's hugely variable, but they
Yeah.
range from a few thousand to 30,000. I think the Armstrong farm was the
Mhm.
most we've contributed to a project, so it's really variable.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm just saying, I'm putting this out there in terms of like, you know, we have to cut, we have lots to cut in our budget. And at the same time, this, I think you make the point of the dollars that we bring in when we do this, and the value to the town, I think is well articulated, so, and understood. So somewhere in there lies a suggestion around, you know, I appreciate you saying it's probably not 30, I suspect it's not 20.
Well, we're gonna
our-
consider all our options to reduce the budget, so.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a big conversation about
Yeah.
all of this.
I mean, this 30,000 is 5 times the last 3-year average.
Yeah, at 30,000,
So.
we're probably not going there, but
Yeah.
I mean, this is all helpful context, and we're gonna have to make cuts we'd rather not make on a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Well, that's all true, and I really appreciate that there's a vision. It wasn't clear to me that this was what the purpose of the conservation fund was, and it's of course a multi-year effort. So, you know, we can start building
Right.
Yeah.
towards this vision.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think also, speaking a little bit to that, the 3-year average is like, I think it's been underfunded for
Yeah.
a few years, and part of it for us is feeling like we wanna build it back up so that we're ready take
Yeah.
on projects that.
And I think that that's been the incremental step, but when I started, I think there was a pretty significant drop. I think it went from like 10,000 down to like 5,000, because there was a lot of weirdness and concern, and I don't think the world's gotten any less weird. Just weird different. But we have been trying to march it back up toward like that $10,000 mark. That was at least where it was back when, I guess it was just Jamie and I.
That's right.
And I don't know how normal $10,000 is relative to all the rest of it, but like it seems like that's a trend, and it's trending still in the promise to kind of build that back up towards meaningful amounts. That had previously been cut several years ago, and is treating it like a, capital reserve fund of sorts, where, just because you have a big drawdown in 1 or 2 years, doesn't mean that that's the like full replenishment, knowing that there's stuff on the horizon. And then I guess the question for me is like, remaining for maybe a later discussion, is like how time sensitive are these arrangements? So like, can folks generally push them like a year or two to give time for these funds to kind of build up a little bit more, so that it doesn't always feel like it's
I think that there's
pressure.
some flexibility, but not a year or two,
Yeah.
like a project that's, the land trust and the.
Yeah,
landowner are
definitely.
Talking about it, then, delaying a year is not something that's really gonna work for them,
Sure. Okay.
but probably is a little bit of flexibility, I don't think we've pushed that before,
Yeah, and you don't generally try to bargain about the amount.
We have bargained about the amount
Okay.
before a little bit, and I need to do my homework, because I don't understand
Yeah.
where the amount comes from in
Yeah,
the first place,
right.
and how much room there is for budget.
Yeah, right.
But that was the case with the Armstrong farm. I remember at that time feeling like it was like this kind of last minute ask. It was a done deal, and it was depending on, it was kind of presented to us of like, the town has to chip in the local share, or this great project isn't gonna happen, and felt like bad, and that's where we were like, okay, we need some clear guidelines about.
Well,
And some projects, sorry.
that like I think plays into kind of what was playing out a little bit with the Fitch property, and like there's a certain portion of it that, knowing the last 2 generations of Fitches, and they're like very open access, I like take a lot of pride in having the access and that be a resource in amongst the community. And it was a little discouraging to hear that it like that wasn't protected as much, especially considering how much like public funds were going towards it. And I think that from my perspective, the Conservation Commission gets to a point where like some of these projects are being, or there are blocks that are being prioritized in these different tiers of usage, and the Conservation Commission is getting ahead of the conversation enough, it can be like, well, you can go to bat a little bit harder for maybe some of the perpetuity of public access, or the protecting of like trail usage or something like that.
The land trusts, I mean, like, they are really good at that, like, what are the values here, and how do we make a negotiation that works? So but I think that we need to be a lot better at, like, what does the town want in particular?
Yeah, definitely.
And where might that vary from where the land trust is coming from? And,
Yeah.
like, is that what we need to be pushing for?
And what is the value of this project to the
To
town?
the town,
To the town.
to our vision, right?
Anyway, we'll kind of table
Yeah.
some of that more existential stuff, but I really appreciate the time and the conversation around this. Like, I think it's a really important subject.
Helpful.
Thank you. I'm excited about the planning commission conversations, especially.
Yeah.
That's great.
Thinking about development and, bringing
Right.
stuff together in a thoughtful way.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Well, are there any other questions, I guess, about the Conservation Commission's request or the project outline?
Think not, thank
Other
you.
than that, we'll spare you the rest of the budget conversation.
All right.
Thanks for the time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks, Neil. Thanks for coming back. Yeah, no, of course.
Yeah.
Oh, boy, we're not doing so good. Not doing so good here. Rest of the budget worksheet. So Kari's had identified, again, some of the,
Well, there's an updated
Yeah.
worksheet, right, and it includes the warned special articles. So the fire department, social service appropriations, there is based on nothing more than a comment that was made at some point, a land acquisition fund, so there hasn't really been a conversation about that.
And that's the town of Calais
A new reserve fund.
I saw that, but the purpose is for the town of Calais to acquire a site for storage of materials. Is that generally what we're talking about, or?
yeah, this kind of is like a lingering item from the previous land acquisition consideration and realizing that, you know, we're
Why
not.
we do?
Why would we need it and what would it look like and how are we budgeting for that exactly? And so this is more of like a token effort
Yeah.
to start working towards that type of capital planning for acquisition.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
but if we need to.
So unfortunately, I think last year, the warrant articles brought the average down, and that wasn't the case this year.
Yeah,
I-
that's interesting.
I am hoping that we can reduce the East Montpelier ambulance budget. We can talk about that now or later. I think there's some opportunity there. But in general, we saw things come in high. That was true of the social service appropriations. Not the library, of course, but both fire departments were up in the 7-8% range. All right, I guess, or 5% range. So, yeah, so we got our work cut out for us,
Yes.
depending on how much we wanna reduce things.
Yeah, Woodbury sent their capital plan, but it wasn't a capital plan that had any, didn't go out anywhere. We couldn't see when they were gonna be buying things and what monies were gonna be going in, like we got from East Montpelier. I think we need to have that at a minimum. I feel we need to know what their plans are.
Okay. We can certainly ask
And
for
also, if, you know, yeah, East Montpelier needs to put some money back in the kitty.
that. Yeah, if we wanna spend a minute talking about that, I mean, I don't know if you looked at the draft of the capital plan that I revised. I felt like I think this is actually really good news. This is one of the bright spots of this budgeting process, is they came forth with the next iteration of their capital plan. And what it shows me is that they're very confident about the growth of revenue from their ambulance operations. I think 9% is, that's not conservative enough from a budgeting perspective, but even at 3%, I think that that's pretty good growth. And I don't think they need to pay cash outright for all $1 million of vehicles. I think with just some modest financing, they can spread that out if they need to, and be contributing more, not less,
Yeah.
as they proposed. And it's not a large amount of money, but
They proposed.
even bringing it back to 30 would save
Right.
Calais 10,
Yeah,
which is
Yeah.
real
Yeah.
money for us.
right. And I appreciated your looking into it at that level. And we haven't had any conversations with them about this?
When is the meeting, I guess?
It has not been rescheduled.
Yeah.
It was floated that the 18th, Thursday, or the 22nd, a week from tonight. I said would work for us, and East Montpelier's town said it would work for them, so now we're just waiting to hear back. I had a really quick conversation with Thomas, the chief, about these concerns and like a couple other things about, specific things about his budget. And, you know, trying to be as respectful and supportive of him as possible.
Okay.
So anyway,
So there's some possibilities here that we have to, but they would have to agree. Have we talked to the town of East Montpelier about this?
They asked them to do it last year and they did.
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
yeah.
Um,
And East Montpelier kind of led the charge on
Okay.
reducing our contribution, increasing theirs. And
Okay.
it was a little bumpy, they resisted that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, you know, them doing their homework and showing it like this,
Yeah.
says, well,
Right.
you can't afford it.
So it's worth talking to the East Montpelier town folks before a
Beforehand,
joint meeting, don't you think?
Think-
Rather than it coming just out of the blue from Calais.
yeah, I could give Seth a call. Seth Gardner sort of is in charge of things.
Yeah.
He certainly
That'd be
leads the conversation around that particular item and
Okay.
subject.
Okay, I'm happy to do that.
Thank you. Okay.
So, are we gonna get into it? We've done the brass tacks here?
Yeah.
I think we have to at some point. Tonight's the night. So how does it make the most sense to work through the worksheet, just top down on the highlighted items? I think. Is everybody looking at the same?
Or
Or Kari's
the menu
list.
that I
Yeah.
provided.
Yeah,
Yeah,
It's not that other things are off
okay.
limits, but, there.
Hey Tegan.
Hello, hello. The menu
It's
is
in
in
the
your
memo.
memo?
Oh, okay.
Guess I still don't have a really clear grasp on pros and cons of loose road culvert. Like, I know some of the history there. It's not one, my understanding is it's not one that's actually had flood issues, but it's been rated as likely
It's
to
a
have
point of
flood
vulnerability.
issues.
Well, and I think it's more significant than just your average culvert.
Right,
I think I'd probably put it in the same camp as Bliss Pond or Haggett, even though those have failed. This
right.
one has not, but it's in a very steep, you know,
And it would be higher priority than Bliss or Adamant, or it's just the cheapest of the three?
I think it dates back to prior to the 23 floods.
Right,
Loose Road's a less traveled road than Haggett, for sure.
right,
And it's easier
this,
to go around if you can't get through.
right, I mean, that's sort of where I'm getting at, is if we're gonna put 50, 60, 80,000 into a culvert, I wonder why we choose loose over,
It was in the queue.
right,
what really was
yeah,
but don't you think that's probably why it hasn't gotten done yet, is
Right.
because it keeps getting put,
right,
Yeah.
by higher
So my
priority.
question is, we've applied for a grant for this project more than once. And so somebody keeps applying because why? Because it's a point of vulnerability, is what you're saying.
I think-
But if we
yeah.
don't
Yeah.
do it again, I don't think the funder will be very interested in funding it again. I mean, I think
Yeah.
if we
Right.
say, no, we're not doing it, I think we're kind of never doing it.
I don't know that that's necessarily true. I mean, I think that the scoping of these projects tend to have like their own inertia to them. So once you have something for one reason or another, it gets identified, you have a scoping project, now you have the data, and it gets there's every year there's a pot of grant funds that are
Right.
available for it. So like because it already has its scope defined, and because it's like this price point that's easy to say yes to, that it just kind of keeps getting approved, as opposed to maybe something that has a broader scope, bigger cost, but services, you know, a more significant traffic pattern, gets passed over and not approved because it's so expensive. So it could just be sitting in this sweet spot. I mean, I certainly respect and understand that, like, that there's only so much passing up that you could afford before somebody's looking at it and skips it. But I do think that there's also, with these road projects and culvert projects, like, it just put it in the queue and see what you get back, and they just sometimes kind of get funded out of inertia to a certain extent.
All right, well, yeah. I was reluctant to remove it earlier, but looking at all the stuff, and as you say, it's not that hard to drive around, and it's very lightly traveled. I drove by it to try and figure out where the culvert was and stuff. You can't really see much snow and covered with snow. But I, you know, if we're gonna take stuff out, I'm not gonna raise a big objection there.
Carly, is it the one by the boggy area, or is it the one in the woods?
It's right off the corner.
Yeah, it's where it bends.
It's at right at the Stillbrook farm, right?
If
Oh,
you're-
that one, okay.
Yeah, if you're going towards Max Gray, you make the corner, and then it's kind of right there.
Yep, I know that one.
You can see that if it flooded, it would be a big mess.
For the Georges.
For the Georges. Yeah.
So is there some relative consensus around considering cutting it?
I'm okay with that.
I think it sounds like there's also, that there needs to be some feedback that goes back to our grant administrator as well, and whether or not it makes sense for us to try to apply for this, or maybe put more energy into applying more aggressively for other ones.
Right, yes, I think that's right. I mean, I think that this is a select board determination that this seems like it's not a high priority.
Are there residents who have sort of been pushing for this, who feel like
Not
they'd
that I
be
know of.
impacted
I
of it?
haven't heard anything, this is, just was,
Okay. Yeah,
it was on the list. when it
yeah,
came.
no, totally, I'm just,
And, you know, Toby's take is it's been on the list for a long, long
Yeah,
time.
that's
Right.
the inertia element.
Right.
That's-
Yeah, I'm definitely comfortable with
yeah,
taking it off. You know, recognizing it's a risk to some extent, but doesn't
Yeah.
seem to be a high risk at the moment.
And I think the place to come back to this is in the capital plan, when we
right,
talk about that in August or some other time.
exactly.
We're now building a wish list of things we can't even
Projects.
put into the capital plan,
Mhm.
Right,
you know, with the bridge at the top.
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
At least we have a list.
All right.
Yeah. So that's the first thing that you mentioned. Then you talk about sorry, should we be moving
Mm-hmm.
to Marshfield Road paving?
Well, the next one is the conservation fund request, right?
Right.
Yeah,
I was just looking at Kari's
I am
memo.
too. Blues Road, then conservation. Oh, what part of the memo are you looking at?
I guess
Review of potential reduction.
okay, I'm up higher, sorry. That's fine, this is fine. Good,
Yeah, so,
I'm with you.
the suggestion in the memo is 15,000, I think we could go to 10,000 and feel okay.
I mean, spending 10 instead of 15,
Mm-hmm.
I would too. I think level funding it from last year or close is about as good as we can do.
Well, 8,000 was last year,
Yeah,
so we're going to 10,
I think,
Yeah.
that's
I,
all.
one thing I just want to say about that, and I don't know the ins and outs of all these different land trusts, but there's often a fundraising element to some of this, and a local engagement, which is sometimes difficult because it's putting a lot of pressure on the immediate community. to come up with something. But I just, you know, given the times we're in, it seems to me that there might be some thought about that in going forward. Maybe that's a conversation we can have with the commission later on, but
Yeah,
I would be in agreement that 10,000 would be really pretty much, that's what I wrote down before we got here. I just think right now,
well, I guess I selfishly or politically feel a certain motive to make good on a promise to kind of get it back to that 10,000 mark from when I started, because it was such a drastic cut from, but I didn't have any context of what it was before that either. So I do really appreciate the amount of consideration that the Conservation Commission seems to be having around this, and I agree. Like I think it'd be worth saying, okay, what's the annual amount that we're going to contribute toward this, and like compare it to the rest of the budget. Like if it comes short on what your goal is, are you going to fundraise for it, or are you going to move some of your other funds that are being appropriated toward that? Like I think about like the pamphlet, like the Ponds and Rivers pamphlet or something like that. Like, how are they reusing their funds if they're feeling a particular need to fund that particular thing, or to raise funds through the community through folks who are so motivated and have the resources to do that.
And that's,
Well,
and
and
that's their issue. Hey, Kari?
I would just caution, I don't wanna,
Yeah.
it's not that
Sorry.
the commission necessarily would fundraise, so,
Oh,
but
I
that the commission would expect that the project would, I mean, I don't know, I don't wanna imply that the commission should be out there fundraising.
Right.
Or that the VHCB or the VLT or whoever else, like, what are the options? And
Exactly.
you just go to Calais and say, oh, they always have a fund?
Yeah.
Or are there, you know, discussions and other funding sources and
Right.
stuff?
And I think I also, you know, would note that there is a commitment to continue maybe to increase this, because I do think it's an investment in the future of the town. And looking, once we have more of a plan, it will be
Yes, I think
a
that,
place that I would feel more comfortable investing more once there's a clarity about the plan.
once we have the town plan and the whole natural resources discussion, yeah.
Now it's smaller numbers, but I feel like it is sort of related since it came up. The Lakes and Streams, which we gave 800 last year, has asked for 1,600 this year.
Wasn't there a reason that the Lakes and Streams, didn't they
Lakes
lose
and
their
Pond.
grant?
They haven't gotten a grant in a number of years.
No.
Okay, so what was the reason that they said double?
It's
They asked us
always,
to-
When they asked for that last year,
that's
they
we didn't give
we didn't give.
I think
Ah.
that's about the full amount
mhm.
they spend.
Yeah, same.
And the last few years, they've gone, if we give them less, they go to other groups
Right.
and have come up with it.
Aha. Okay.
So I think I would be sort of inclined to drop that back
To
to
level fund that.
800
Yeah.
and maybe consider, 11 or 12,000 to the conservation fund.
So you'd say 800 for the Lakes and Ponds newsletter,
Yeah.
but more than 10 to the conservation?
I had sort of 12 in mind, but I'm not opposed to 10.
Good, because there's no way I'm agreeing to that.
12?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think, yeah.
I still like to see 10 personally, but.
I think it's more than last year, it's an increase. A
Yeah.
lot of people are not getting increases.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it sets a good pattern of trying to raise some funds for a thing
Yeah.
that I think people in the community have the resources to help fund. And I'm just really sensitive to using the taxpayers' resources for things like that. Entirely.
I think 10 is a nice number.
And 8 for the lakes and streams.
8 for the lakes and ponds.
That's
Like
an agreement.
Lakes and ponds? I think
Lakes and
it's
streams.
Lakes and streams.
It says lakes and pond
Jamie,
here.
do you wanna keep that reduction even though you're not able to move the money?
I don't have a strong feeling, but that seemed like another
Another
place that we
place to
could trim
find
a little
it,
bit.
yeah, yeah, I
safely.
agree with you.
Okay. Reserve fund requests accept technology, da 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 da.
So I believe we're down below 3% for municipal.
Right, that's,
Oh, just
If
with that?
that's your
just
goal,
with that gets us below 3%,
I think we're there.
yeah.
Oh,
Right, cause we
Okay,
needed
good.
70,000 to get down to 3%,
Okay.
and that's 59 and
And 70.
18.
you know, to the extent
Yeah.
that people look at the municipal government as the part that you control and the other
Right.
stuff is separate from that.
Mother.
I don't know how much they do, but
Right.
That's great, because reducing vehicle maintenance, I think, is a time bomb.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not recommending it, but, you
I
know,
understand where you put it in the marsh repair thing, I think we need to do that.
I think we need to do
So,
that.
yeah, that feels better.
all right, so, I mean, we can keep going, but I will certainly bring you a cleaned up version with these 3 changes.
But we don't have, we don't yet have enough information about the East Montpelier ambulance that you were mentioning.
Well, yeah, it's not up to us alone, right?
That's
Right, right, understood.
I think if the 2 towns agree, I don't know how much, I don't think the fire department has, you know, all they can do is push back, I don't think they have the authority,
Mhm.
so I will reach out to staff.
Well, I guess it,
So.
well, I guess
so
it
la-
falls into that,
Separately.
it falls into that kind of warned articles thing, where I guess they could theoretically bring their budget request as it currently is without that reduction and put it up to the voters for
Yeah.
discussion,
Yep.
and then force,
They could play
the,
politics with it.
uh,
It's a little more
select-
complicated because it's a joint venture, right? I don't know.
yeah, it'd be dicier for sure.
Would we contribute more not knowing that East Montpelier is going to, kind of thing? No. But you're right, anything can happen on the floor.
But is it a separate warrant article?
It is.
Yeah, so it already is. How does that work then if we disagreed?
If they strongly disagreed and they gave us the warrant article relative to their budget that was approved by their board, I presume that the way that it would unfold is somebody on either of the select boards for either of the municipalities would have to propose short funding through a motion, short funding their budget with an explanation that they would need to make up the difference from a contribution
From the ambulance?
from the ambulance. And
Oh.
then that would, I guess, it would be a floor vote type situation. It'd be super contentious to work it
I
out
think
that
it's
way.
really important that the towns are aligned
Yeah,
Yeah,
Right.
and stay aligned. But as far as that goes, so currently, we're asking the fire department to contribute 15. Last year, they contributed 30. I mean, are you happy with something in that range, or
Mhm.
one of those,
Yeah,
I'm quite happy with 30.
you like,
I agree. I looked at the numbers.
I think we asked for 30.
I see it's in there, I don't.
okay,
Yeah,
okay. It seems like they can afford it.
right.
I think they can.
The other one
I think they can, and they were also given a lot more discretion over their purchases in the last
Right.
agreement, around the things that they can purchase without approval from the
Right.
select
Yeah.
boards. So, I mean, not
I
that
mean,
this is,
I'd love it if our grand list was growing 3%.
yeah,
Right?
It would make a
Right.
huge difference.
What about the grant that was the emergency management?
Oh, so we did not receive the grant.
We didn't.
We did
No.
not.
no.
We're on our own for that one.
So that's the hazard mitigation plan update, 11,000,
Yeah,
that we have to do.
we have to be eligible for FEMA
Any
and
FEMA.
other grants, yeah. It's,
Okay.
I think it's essential.
Any explanation as to why we didn't get the
They
grant?
said it was very competitive. I looked at, the Regional Planning Commission posted who in central Vermont received it, and that included Montpelier and Middlesex, and one other town, I can't remember. I thought there was because this isn't limited to hazard mitigation, I thought there seemed to be a theme of housing.
Oh.
And who does that work? Do we do that? We hire somebody to do it? How does it?
Yeah,
Get
so
done?
it was such a large bite that it was gonna be something that we'd have to
Hire?
The planning,
hire out.
Yeah.
Because
the
of,
planning?
Yes.
Yeah, the Regional Planning Commission will do it for fee,
For 11,000?
for 11,000.
Okay.
Did we
but they
ever,
were also the grant underwriter. Seems like conflict of interest.
I would say they were motivated. Yeah, they worked with us on it.
Is there any other source of grants that we should be?
For planning, not that I'm aware of.
It sounded like the bigger issue was the time frame. We don't likely have the time
time,
to
oh.
go out and get one because it is gonna expire.
Didn't you say there used to be more federal funding and a whole bunch of it got cut? Isn't that what happened? Is it used to be like a given that you would get?
Oh, that's right, yeah.
You would get it, everybody got a grant, you did your,
Yeah.
and then they cut that, so now
They
there's. a
cut
whole
it,
bunch
but
of
they didn't cut the requirement.
Right.
of plan.
I believe that's what he said when he was here.
unfunded man? Did we ever have more of a conversation about the sheriff's budget?
Oh,
No,
goodness.
we-
No.
I
need
think
that-
we
that
should probably
conversation.
touch on that.
Let's do that. So we have the request, the 12, where is it?
I don't think,
It's on the-
So they don't propose a dollar
Three.
amount, they just have their rate, their hourly rate, which I don't have in front of me. I think
But
it
we
was-
had increased the number, or the number is increased.
Yeah,
It's
currently we're
on-
spending 7,
It's on page three.
and there's 9 in
It's
there.
on page 3, police patrol.
Page 3 of the worksheet.
Yes,
yeah.
it's after zoning administration. So actual 2025, we spent more like 3,000?
Yeah, but then we budgeted 7,000, but they increased their rate so much that it didn't translate to any more hours.
Right.
believe it or not.
And I,
So is
This year's increase is more modest, or next year's increase is more modest.
So the 9,000 does not represent increased patrols? I thought it did.
I believe it would.
Okay.
I'm just trying to
I have
find
to look
that
and see
But
what-
they
document.
did talk about, they had to adjust their pay rates.
Yeah,
because of
yeah, they've got some
surrounding-
serious pressures, I think.
They had expenses.
2/7 is like 28%, if I remember my math, and I think that their rate increase is more like 5%.
Okay.
So theoretically, we'd be getting
A little
significantly
bit
more hours, but I also remember in their rate proposal, there was a cost proposal, they were bumping it up to like 12
Like-
or 14 even.
Yeah. Quite a bit,
It was quite a bit.
and it still didn't seem like that much coverage.
Yeah, we need more.
When was it? Was it the 24th?
I know, I'm trying to go back and find that stuff.
Sheriff, so it was on the 24th. So it's the present contract 7,000, the contract rate is going to 68 an hour. So they're,
It's interesting that the actual for 25 was so much lower than what was budgeted.
that's what I'm curious about. But I think what they're saying is, Yeah, what they're saying is we have a contract for
It-
7,000
right.
and we've spent only 2,000 through November 1st. We have 4,700 remaining in the current contract.
Through June 30,
Which makes
and
sense.
Yeah,
that makes sense, yeah?
yeah, because they do a lot.
Yeah,
Because they do a
because
lot in the
they don't
summer.
do it enough.
Yeah.
As much.
So 29 shifts left. So it looks like they're not increasing shifts in the budget proposal, they're just increasing their,
Length of the shift, maybe?
well, I think they're just increasing their rate.
Oh.
Right.
Shifts are 3 hours. $244 per shift. It looks like,
It must be more patrol time though, because
So
they're going from $66 an hour to 68. That's not,
right, they're proposing 50 shifts for 12,200.
50 shifts. 20, yes, they are. And
I could ask for more clarity on that, you know, to guess. what
50
they're doing.
shifts,
It's not just clarity on what they're asking, it's also just like the comparison from previous years, which I don't know.
I think the challenge is that, you know, like, because of the fiscal year, we're not realizing like how close we are to using up the previous allotment relative. Like the busiest time of their patrolling is in the
probably
spring,
May or
right at
June.
the
Yeah.
end, right at the end of our
June.
fiscal year, so we're not realizing what their actual hours are until the very end. So at least that we end up having like a year and a half delay on the data. To a certain extent, unless somebody's keeping a really close eye on whether or not they're using their full contracted amount or we're getting the additional shifts that we want.
There's something funky in their math because, or just that I'm not understanding, because they show remaining for this year 29 shifts,
right,
$4,700.
right.
But if it's $244
divide
per
that-
shift,
Well, see, it's 240,
it's $244 next year.
yes.
But if it's only $2 an hour less, it would still be over 200.
It'd be $6 less.
And times 29 shifts is the full 7,000.
Oh.
Like,
I wonder if they're planning to bump up their shift length from 2 to 3 hours or something like that.
It's 3 hours now.
It is 3?
Yeah, you don't have any of the invoices on your computer anymore. I only have them in the scans folder, which you can't access here. But that is really helpful because that gives you hours and mileage
Right.
and breaks down dollar by dollar how the whole shift works out.
Hold it. If you multiply 68 times 3, it is 204, not 244.
it's plus mileage.
So the mileage is 50 miles, and that's why.
Yeah.
So it's not just $2, it's the mileage is
Right.
also messing it up.
Regardless, if their rate only went up a couple dollars an hour, and we're bumping the budget from 7 to 9,000, that should increase our, it won't get us to where they're proposing, but it's cuts down the middle somewhere. I think that seems like a
Yeah.
reasonable place to land to me.
Are you proposing a reduction? No.
I'm-
So we just want to confirm, I think, that it's more shifts, which it sounds like it is, right?
Can someone help me with I see the total on their sheet is 12,200,
Yeah,
and in
for
the
their
budget,
proposal.
It's
what I'm seeing in
11,
the budget is,
11,800.
9,000.
is 9,000, is what I'm seeing. So I'm trying
Yeah.
to, am I looking,
I know, last year, I think they just proposed a hourly rate and didn't really put together a plan like they have here.
okay,
So they're suggesting we might wanna actually spend 12 grand next year. You know, and we
To
would
get
get this
more
for
shifts.
that amount. I don't believe that's what they're currently doing, so ultimately it's up to us, the dollar amount, and they will base the number of shifts on that.
Okay, but I'm just saying there was a decision made at some point to put in 9,000 as opposed to put in 12,200. Right?
Right.
When was that?
I just penciled that in.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's fine, I'm just like acknowledging that that's not, the 9 isn't what they asked for
Right.
already.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And to be clear, I'm looking at the worksheet that's in the folder, and it says, 11,800.
Well,
That's the
that-
total.
Oh, that's the total, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
sorry.
someone can explain to me about the streetlights another time. I don't wanna know.
You want one? By your house?
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, so I guess that's just the question is, last year it was 7,000, they're proposing 12,200. 9,000 was put in as sort of an arbitrary starting place.
Yeah,
Is that?
Yeah.
Feel right to people?
Well, I guess from my point of view, I would have liked to see the actual amount in there, and then we could decide on it, because I didn't look at that paperwork to see the 12 too. It would have been nice to have it here, then we make the decision on it here.
Well, we
But
put
that's
it
just-
there. We want to see it there.
Well, I mean, I understand it now, but I wouldn't have known that otherwise. So,
and we don't have a sense of, I mean, I think obviously they're working on a different fiscal year.
No,
So
I
for
think
the-
No, they're on the,
Same.
they've just switched to the same one from the last year.
July to June, yeah, same.
It says June 1st to August 31st, for example.
That's just their busy season when they're proposing 2 shifts.
Yeah,
a
that's
week.
not, yeah, that's seasons for numbers of patrols, because they do it more in the summer and fewer in the fall and spring.
It doesn't perfectly align, but gives you a flavor. I think if we told them we have $9,000 for you, they would just scale this back to 3/4.
Right.
Right,
Do
so,
this
so
as-
that would be, they're proposing 53-hour shifts, and 9,000 would be 37 3-hour shifts.
And in the current year, is it 29 total or 29 remaining?
Remaining.
But Jamie said
It
the
says
math
remaining,
didn't-
but the math
there was something
makes
weird
it
with the
seem
math.
total.
Right, well, if it's 6,
That we might not have that many left.
Right.
Yeah.
got it.
I feel like the gist of the conversation was certainly taking the issues seriously, that there's definitely speeding issues, and we want to keep supporting this contract, but not necessarily at the certainly not at the $12,000 level, and that we also as a community wanted to think about, or as a board, think about and utilize some of the other data we have and what could we be doing. So it seems to me your estimate is probably, spot on. I just,
10,000 is a nice round number,
I think so too.
even with conservation fund.
Right, I could get behind 10,000. I mean, I think
I think
there's broad
10,000
community support for
Yeah.
increased
Yeah.
patrolling.
agreed.
I would just caution that's what we said we were gonna do when we made the increase last year, and I don't think that we leveraged the data as strongly as we could. And so,
And we
yeah,
need
if we
to do
bump it
that.
up to $10,000, I'd really like to see that, a policy stood up that, and I think it sounds like you already had the conversation with Tyler maybe about, streamlining
Collecting data.
the data logging.
Collect the data and share it with the sheriff.
Share it with the sheriff, and I guess we'll figure out a way to communicate that outward, but I think that
Yeah.
there's a sharing it with the sheriff, but also like by the way, a community post of some sort.
Yes, And Tegan shared some information from another town clerk about how that can be really effective.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think when I see those numbers,
it's astounding.
you know, it's astounding. It's really
I got past
meaningful. And so I
in the
think,
snow.
yeah.
Welcome
They
to
almost
it, I know.
just
It
like-
happens all the time.
Snow drivers are nuts.
It was bananas. Like,
Yeah.
arguably, the person that was in front of me was only going 20 miles an hour, and I was just like, whatever, we're just gonna take 25, we're gonna go 20 miles an hour, that's just what we're doing.
It's actually
And then,
3 minutes long.
and somebody passed me
And you're like,
going 40, you
Yeah.
know.
And there's been feels like there's been a lot of accidents
There
on
have been.
County Road this
It's
year.
not
There's another
slippery
one
this year.
tonight.
Really?
All right,
Oh,
so
I think
if
that
we
means
say
that all of
10,000
them complaining about
for
the
the
speed.
sheriff, we also want that commitment and the policy of sharing the
Right.
data and maybe having some more check-ins with the sheriff on how it's going during the year. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
big chunk for Calais and,
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty big.
yeah.
Right. Were there, so are we feeling pretty comfortable with those handful of adjustments? Do we need to consider anything else? I mean, I think that's gotten us close to our target. We could keep
Is-
drilling down. I don't know that any of the other ones are going to move the needle a significant amount at this point.
I guess I want to ask if 4% wage increase is sufficient for
It's,
our town
it's
administrator.
what we've negotiated with our road crew.
It's true, we did. We've got 5% for town clerk.
Because I'm taking on more Barbara's things as she has stepped away.
I'm sorry.
Because I'm taking on more Barbara's things as she
Thank
has
you.
increased hours,
Okay.
that's why I asked for most.
No, I'm not opposing it.
I just wanted to.
I'm supporting it.
Thank you.
And I guess I want to know, Kari's also taking on more, right? And saving us money?
Why is the road commissioner now 0 versus,
That's,
yeah, what happened with that?
Well, I've
We didn't
been
hire a road
advocating
commissioner.
that we don't need it as a separate position.
we're not
We
having a
had
road
budgeted
commissioner,
it.
so does that money go
Okay.
to Kari?
A year ago, I wasn't in the same place, but now I feel it can be done.
I mean, and that's
reasonably by
huge. That's a
Okay.
huge savings for Calais.
All right.
And Barbara, Jordan, and I are gonna meet tomorrow morning, have one more discussion about salary.
So you're not eating ramen every night, you know?
He's not, I've seen his leftovers.
I think one of the, but yeah, we can talk about it tomorrow.
All right.
Is that gonna cause, or have we cut enough to deal with that challenge?
I think so. I think
Yeah.
we're in the 3%,
Okay,
we're below 3% now, which
okay.
I think is good.
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
Exceeds my
When do we
expectations.
meet with that tomorrow?
The compensation issue.
Okay.
Well, I think at just under 3%, that also gives us a little bit of buffer on that last item as
Right.
well.
Yeah.
With pretty sound rationale once we circle around on what that final number is. So
Yeah.
I'm feeling pretty comfortable with that.
So to
The last item,
You-
what?
Sorry.
Which
You
one?
have another chance to look at it too.
Yeah.
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 Sorry, I didn't count that.
Is this
Um,
budget assuming that the new Barbara will be full-time or part-time?
It's like 26 hours, something like
And no
that.
benefits.
No benefits.
The new
Okay. The new
The new
Barbara.
assistant clerk.
assistant
select board
of
person.
everything.
Yeah.
Okay. That wasn't clear, actually. Okay. So no benefits?
Right, so that's a big dip from last year, previous.
Yeah, the sad story about this budget is that we went in strong because we were removing a benefit position and
Yeah.
cutting the part-time road commissioner. I thought, oh, this is gonna be great.
Right,
And that was all chewed up by the changes in medical insurance.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
yeah.
And it was a good year for premiums.
I know,
Yeah.
I know.
So, I
You
mean,
just never know. And are you feeling like the road maintenance, the materials and everything is sufficient?
I think it's reasonable.
Okay. What's the deal, what are road signs that we have to buy?
Road signs?
For every time
Road
somebody
sign.
steals the
Yeah,
random
we have to
road
buy a
sign.
random road sign every 6 months. Or the, no, Hardy Moon.
One of the moon
Dragonfly.
goes away a lot.
Not random.
I was gonna say, it's
yeah.
blank, I noticed it this morning that it's gone.
Is it?
Yeah, Horn of the Moon, it's
Oh.
taken all the time.
Dragonfly disappeared once this year, and
Dragonfly.
then somebody found it fishing in a pond in Woodbury and cleaned it up and brought it back to us.
Wow.
So now we have a spare. 'cause we
Now we have a
already
spare.
bought a new one.
That's nice. Oh, man.
Did the birds take it?
I feel like this would be like an interesting thing to share with people, of
Yeah.
like, some of the costs
Yeah,
that your
Ah,
tax dollars go to
Yeah.
are stolen signs.
I,
Have you ever noticed one in your,
yeah.
I don't
in your
know.
kid's office?
Yeah.
They cost a lot.
I don't know. After our last conversation around this, I was like, I wonder if I can like go online and see if I can find them being sold.
Yeah,
eBay,
yeah.
And there are a lot of them being sold. And
Yeah.
so I would temper people's expectations around like how local, or you know, how much of it is just teenage folks, and how much of it might be
there was
people
a
traveling through or seeing the opportunity.
There was a Digger article, I think, today
Oh.
about some town in Vermont that the select board found their road signs being posted for sale online and contacted the police.
Oh.
And they posed as a buyer and caught the guy and got a whole bunch of signs back. I think it was
Wow.
Digger.
I gotta look it up, yeah.
Might have been 7 days, but I think it was
Wow.
Digger.
There's a market for this?
I know, right?
That's wild.
That's discouraging.
All right, I want to be sensitive
Yeah.
to time. Are we feeling comfortable with the cuts that we've made so far with the budget, and can we move on? We'll take a fresh look at this one more time.
Quick question,
Yeah.
the cemetery, have we heard from the cemetery?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't remember, and we're okay with their 8.8% increase?
Well, remember, they're actually a separate entity.
It's a
They-
separate
It's
warrant
a
item.
separately warned thing? Okay.
Yeah.
They're proposing their rate.
Right, okay, thank you. Yeah,
I found it, Jamie, don't worry.
you found,
The story, a Barry man has been stealing brochure road signs.
oh,
And they caught him.
all right, those ferrymen.
I was gonna say let's.
Let's move on.
Let's move on. Wait for the comments to come in on that. So we'll table that. We'll go through one more revision. That'll also then include kind of final numbers, and then by the next meeting, we'll have the opportunity to accept it for the warning, I guess. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank you, and thanks, that was a good memo.
Yeah, it was so great, so helpful.
The public comment period, doesn't look like we have any members of the public, and we're comfortably behind schedule. So I'm gonna move on to the administrative items. We have the approval of the minutes from the December 8th Select Board meeting. We already had the opportunity to review those as posted to the shared drive. Does anybody have any comments or concerns? If not, can we have a motion to accept or approve the December 8th Select Board minutes as posted to the shared drive?
So moved.
Anybody want a second?
Second,
All in favor? Aye, thank you. Vote to approve the board order is also posted to the shared drive. Has everybody had the opportunity to review those? Can I get a motion to approve and sign the board orders as posted to the shared drive?
Moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And an authorization of the town administrator to distribute payments as needed prior to the Jan 5th meeting. Again, 'cause it's gonna be,
3 weeks.
Yeah, 3 weeks. It's pretty standard operating procedure. Generally, that's a snow if there's anything that is abnormal, but this is largely just payroll stuff, I think. Is that right for this one?
The next 3 weeks?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
there'll be some other payables. I'm not anticipating anything large. The social service appropriations definitely want to get out
Yep.
before the holidays.
Does anybody have any other questions or concerns about that?
Do we have to talk further about the hike thing as part of that? Are we?
We'll do that any time,
Okay.
but tonight.
Sure. Well, let's approve this and then have a conversation about that, I guess. Well, no.
You know what?
our-
Why don't we wait
Trail.
till later? I've got some other
Okay.
bad news for us.
Oh, well,
Oh,
fun.
cool.
Well, that sounds like fun.
How does that work? Okay, so does it make sense then to approve these?
Yeah, oh, yeah, yeah.
Make
To
this-
authorize,
Can I guess
Kari.
authorization, can I
Yeah.
have a motion to authorize Kari, administrator, to distribute payments as needed prior to the January 5th meeting?
So moved.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Town meeting warning.
So
Also
there's
posted
directed
to the
there.
share drive, yep.
Tegan did most of the legwork on that.
It's fun to see it coming together.
We have,
Yeah, we're gonna have a meeting.
so Zoom link, we need to finalize, of course, the budget, and then I guess the question of, do we want to have the land acquisition fund on there? And if so, how much do we want to propose for it? We have 2,500, I believe, in the budget that you just looked at.
Yeah.
Again, that was just a placeholder.
Uh-huh.
Because there isn't yet a land acquisition
Right.
fund?
We don't
and so-
have one.
So you want, that's created?
Article 9
say
and
this-
Article 10.
Yeah, see, I gotta say, this is not feeling like the top most priority right now.
I mean, it seems
We're gonna
like
have
it
to
would
count
be,
Elementary school.
yeah,
I know.
Ugh.
No, I don't-
Well, if we include it, we would want to add it to our select board report and have some explanation why it was there.
Well,
Which I do.
if we create it and put it there, it's locked to that purpose, which if we have big conversations coming up about Calais Elementary School.
so
that
what
might
if we
be a
truly make
more-
it a token $500 or something like that to establish the account, but not fund it with $2,500?
Is that where you were headed, Jamie?
Sorry, Jamie,
That would be an option.
Is it?
Yeah,
Okay, I'm trying to understand. where
or
you're-
not having it.
Not having it is where I was heading, but someone tell me why we need it now versus.
Right, I mean, I think long-term, I'm certainly in favor of it, because there do come, opportunities that if we have some set aside, we might wanna take
The
advantage
quarry was
of.
the thing that prompted
Right,
it most
right.
recently, but we've also talked about, boy, it'd be nice to have a different location for the garage,
Yeah.
or a secondary location to store
Yeah.
materials
Right,
on, say, the west side of town.
I'm fairly ambivalent on
So
it.
start now and put 500K in,
Yeah.
500 in, and that's gonna really make a difference to us? I'm not, you know what I'm saying? I'm just pushing back because it feels like a topic of conversation that maybe is complicated for the town, at town meeting to grasp and quickly and,
Yeah, may
All
not
of
be the
that.
right time.
$2,500 it isn't the time to do it, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
question,
I guess
that's what I'm saying.
that's my, but I guess that's my argument, but in the opposite direction. Like, we need to go through this process to establish the reserve fund account one way or the other.
it needs to be
And
voted on.
so it needs to be voted on. So, I think if we have enough agreement around, the need for an account like this in the future, then we should establish it. We can give the rationale to the folks who show up to town meeting. This is why we're doing it now, and the reason you're only seeing $250 go into it, $100 go into it, is because now is not the year probably to fund this account. But at least it's here, and this is why it's here. So I'm happy to be the one who stands up and makes that particular appeal, because I think, regardless of where the school situation pans out, we're gonna need we're not gonna be able to use the school property for that,
Stores
for-
toxic chemicals?
yeah, or for quarrying material, maybe storing material, but anyway, I'm not,
It is timely in the sense that we just had the quarry discussion.
we just had the quarry
So
discussion.
we're responding to that.
Right.
That's one thing.
And all of the other reserve funds in the community are, whether it's conservation related or something else, are very specific in scope, and hard to get.
And there is
coalescence
no
around.
way to establish a reserve fund without a town-wide vote?
Right.
That's
Correct,
interesting, okay.
with a specified purpose.
Well, I like the strategy of having the discussion and establishing it and having a real token amount. I think that,
The benefit of that is that then it's got a spot in the budget.
right, we don't have to have that
You have the
discussion and that
conversation.
vote again.
Yeah.
Get it going.
But I
Imagine if we'd
think
done
a
that.
truly token amount is more favorable in my mind than
Sure.
$2,500.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that at all. Yeah.
Yeah.
Want to make it
So-
$50?
Well,
Well, 500?
I'm fine with, I'm even fine with $100. I mean, if it starts a conversation, I think that that's totally fine. Anybody else want to weigh in on 100? Going once, going twice? $100. Twice, $50. $500.
I don't know, I feel like if we don't put any money into it, it doesn't,
It's not
It-
doing anything.
right, and it's not like showing it that this is something we
My
all
thought was
believe
500,
on.
but-
I think 500 or 1,000 is reasonable to
Credible.
show
It
it
needs to be
something that's
credible.
like,
Right.
it, you know,
To say
we
10
believe
bucks
in
looks
it, we
like
wanna do
care.
this, exactly. Be my take.
$500.
500.
Sold.
Got it. Right, so if you're not seeing anything else,
I
we
did,
will
I
send this.
actually did see a few
Oh,
things.
okay, go ahead.
So when we, in Article 7, when we're talking about the Calais Hubbard Library, do we want to just cite that that amount is pursuant to the recommendation of our committee,
I think that's,
as opposed to the request of Calais Hubbard right?
I'm assuming Jeff Dean is gonna stand up and say something about that.
I think it'll come up, so I'd like it to.
It hasn't historically been, that language hasn't historically been in these articles.
Right,
Usually it's
because
part of the conversation, but it's not part of the warning.
Because it's been the request of the library.
No, I've never seen it in any warning.
Because it's been the request of the library.
No, I meant like in our town and other towns, I've never seen an article that said, because so-and-so asked for so-and-so
Right,
change.
like a-
No, it's just.
Information.
that explanation isn't part of the.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's true of, there's changes amidst the, social service ones, and we're not
Right, this
explaining
says,
those.
well, Article 8 says to meet the amounts requested, which is not accurate,
Right,
right?
that's
We can
right.
change that, I think.
Yeah.
We have
Okay,
to talk to the attorney.
so if we leave 7, I'm okay with that, we'll have a discussion, but it shouldn't say the amounts requested, right? It should say, it should just then say nothing, it should appropriate the total amount to benefit the following organizations, or something like that, right?
Good point.
Mm-hmm.
And then, Article 12. Oh, there was just a little typo kind of thing. In Article 12, we're referring to Article 14.
Yeah, we're gonna go through and do all the numbering.
Okay.
I hadn't done that yet,
Alright.
unless you had done it,
So
Carter.
that should be 11.
I did not.
Yeah, no, I will triple check all the
Okay.
article references.
Everything else was lovely. Thank you.
Great. We will send it to the attorney and bring it back to you.
Great.
Thank you. The select board report.
Well done.
So nice. Thank you for taking that on.
Well, it's such an it's like doing, you know, like your Christmas letter. It's like, what happened this year? So I figured, yeah, let me know what is missing.
I had a couple of things just because I haven't seen, you know, looked at it from this side of the
Yeah.
aisle before, as it were. So it doesn't, I'm wondering if you looked at the calendar year, if you were just focusing on, strictly on the fiscal year.
This, no, it's 2025. It's the calendar year, right? Isn't that what we do?
Well,
I don't know. It's since the last town meeting.
Yeah, I think that's,
I mean, it's essentially 2025.
the financial report is about the
Right.
last year.
Right,
And the budget is about next year.
right,
But I think when you're summarizing the past year,
right.
you're really since last town meeting, more
Right.
or
Yeah.
less.
Yeah.
okay. I was wondering if, you know, their point about mentioning volunteers who've come and go, you know, where is that section? Where you're thanking people,
Keeping the town running, bottom of 2.
right,
It's actually, Barbara, to answer your question a little more directly, we write this thing every December, so it's about the prior 12 months. And then it's in the, you know, it gets published in March,
March.
or it gets published in whenever it gets published, February. But it's always written in December, so it's kind of the calendar year primarily.
Mhm.
Yes, welcoming new volunteers. I just, yeah, are there others we should talk about?
I just was thinking about Larry, that's a departure, but anyway, I just wanted to acknowledge Larry. Having left the,
Bush?
yeah, sorry, Larry Bush, I'm sorry, having left the, wasn't it the Conservation Commission that he was on, long time
Yeah.
chair?
So also, I'm happy to do that. Do people agree?
I think so. I am still not entirely clear on the circumstances about his departure, and so I think it'd be fair to to say we want to acknowledge your service and maybe just reach out to him and see if he's okay with that. And
Yeah,
assuming he is, then
Perfect.
that would be great.
Um,
Are you comfortable reaching out to him on
Yeah,
that?
I can send an email if that's all right.
Mhm.
I assume he could also be, like, the Conservation Commission could mention.
That was what I was gonna say.
Right.
I haven't seen their report yet, I don't know if they're gonna say something.
that they might do that
Oh,
there. Okay, maybe that's the better spot then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so my other question was around the, naming affordable housing.
Yeah, we
As
had
a
it.
topic, and I just wanted to hear more about your decision on that.
Good question. I carried that over from last year, because I felt like we hadn't done a whole lot. And we named it last year, and I sort of feel like it's still a thing that the town plan talks about. We just adopted the plan, and we don't want to forget about it, I guess, is what I was thinking.
Mm-hmm.
It's obviously a very brief mention, and we haven't done a whole lot. And that's why it's in the section on looking forward.
And part of my question, I mean, I'm happy to have it called out. I do think just having the word housing in front of people as much as possible is positive, because it's such a central issue. I am wondering about affordable, like, are we qualifying affordable? I mean, you did this last year, so if there was a rationale for why it said affordable housing last year.
I'm kind of a stickler for that verbiage because affordable housing has a very specific definition. And so, I like the idea of continuing to keep it like front, top of mind, but if we could massage the verbiage to particularly the affordability of housing, or adding to the housing stock or something like that, because affordable housing for folks who are in that group means is very specifically defined.
So,
Are folks
I'm not, I
Maybe-
didn't
as
follow.
familiar with that?
Maybe title that section just new housing,
new
and
housing?
then the first sentence
Thank
is
you.
true, it's
Right.
a true statement.
Yes,
Mhm.
And the second just talks about new housing.
Right.
yes, thank you, appreciate that,
Right. New housing or just housing,
or just
that's the
housing.
topic.
Okay. Okay, yeah. Can't find it from last year.
And also, did we talk about, dogs were an issue, at least while I've been here. Is that, do we raise that as a point of the work we've
I
been doing?
didn't think it was a highlight.
It's not. I hear that. I'm
Leave dogs and horses alone.
I mean,
Select board report?
it's part of our
Yeah, I'm
responsibilities.
looking for
Other
where
towns have
affordable
that.
housing last time. Yeah, affordable housing, we used affordable housing last year, but we don't have to. Yeah, that's fine. Okay,
Oh, yeah.
sorry, I missed,
I didn't know, this isn't intended to be like a sweeping, like, assessment of all the different things we've done.
it's not, and so, but I didn't want to omit something that was important.
Right.
And I felt like I tried to keep it a little briefer than last year.
Mm-hmm.
I also did want to, we will say in this report something about Barbara. And maybe it's a separate thing like we did last year.
Mhm.
I think that would be good.
Yeah.
Is the culvert here something that should get mentioned, that project that we're not doing?
The Cat Hill Road one?
Yeah,
Yeah, that study was completed and presented, and, another $1 million item on the list.
Maybe it,
just because I saw the others that are,
yeah, the East Calais, the East Calais Dam and related infrastructure, I wonder if it's just, or maybe there's a separate separate bullet there of just other, infrastructure projects without having to go into the loose road and the various culverts and the adamant, like we're working hard to look at prioritizing and creating a capital plan for addressing these outstanding major infrastructure projects.
We're looking at creating a capital plan.
Well, we
for
have,
additional
that's a
infrastructure
pretty
improvements.
significant, yeah.
Yeah, really developing an inventory of projects that need to happen.
You're thinking without mentioning the,
I think without
Loose
getting,
road,
without getting into the
Right.
details of each of them,
Yeah,
it's more
perfect,
important that
yeah.
we're getting more structured around our planning for those expenses.
great. Do you want to talk about the East Calais Dam or not then? Yes. I could make that. The bridge,
That feels
people
like
wanna
a
know.
big one.
People want to know
People
about
know about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's worth a standalone.
Yeah.
okay.
Do we pat ourselves on the back for doing the paving on county?
Oh,
Because that wasn't
did I not
technically
say
a
that?
budgeted,
I think you did.
oh, did you?
It's on road improvements. It's the
Oh,
first
yeah.
bullet.
Sorry. Road safety and speeding.
Yeah, and also, we've got a road commissioner report, we've got a town administrator report, and so,
Right.
There's overlap.
yeah, that's right.
Any other feedback?
Do you want to mention that we're wrapping up the FEMA reimbursement process? That's kind of old news, but it's,
It felt old to me, so it's
Yeah.
maybe in your report. It doesn't
Okay.
seem like the select board has done much
That's fine.
on FEMA this year.
I think it should be mentioned, because it is an achievement.
Yes,
A lot of
well, I agree
towns
with
are-
that,
Yeah,
but I
still.
feel like I don't take credit for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've survived remarkably unscathed by that, all the
Yeah.
work that Toby's done to get the money
Yeah.
back, yeah. Thing.
Well, I'm happy to take written comments if anyone has any, because we can't finalize this till the budget's finalized.
Mhm.
So if you want to send me stuff, I can do a new draft. And then Kari and I, last year, I think we worked on the final
Yeah.
after the budget numbers, so we could do that. I'm not
Yeah.
sure when the real deadline is.
Well, if we can finalize the budget on the 5th, then I'm sure we have the rest of that week to get this done.
Okay.
That seem right?
So, yeah, and then, in the next week or so, if you read it and or have some middle of the night brainstorm of something you'd like to include, just send me a note.
The meeting on the 5th and the 12th?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
Do you want me to say something about the land acquisition fund in the town report, in the select board report?
I would.
Okay. And why we are
Yeah,
proposing
That
to,
would
That'd
be
be
a place
another
to say we
goal,
looked at
looking
the
forward.
quarry
Yeah.
and realized.
Yeah,
we
and
need
that-
to prepare for the future.
I think last year we said we were looking at the quarry. So I can look at that. Okay.
Thank you for spearheading that.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Thank you for being nice.
And, Christia, do you need any more input on that? I think that covers everything. It looked like it had questions next to it. I really appreciate the visuals. I think that those go over well.
We could
My
do
turns.
more. If you
I,
Do what you want.
those are the only ones that really,
could show the change over time, but that's always depressing.
Yeah, really.
I don't wanna do that. No, I think breaking out the budget that particular way, if anything, as like a reminder of what the municipal budget is and what we have purview over,
Yeah.
relative to all of the other things that influence.
Right, and when you pay your taxes,
This is where they're going.
Or you can do my favorite is the pie chart that shows the school
Yeah.
education versus
Right.
town.
Yeah.
well, do we want to show that? I mean, because when people complain about their property taxes, you know, it's not, most of it, the select board.
I feel like that's a sword that cuts.
Yeah.
And
It also raises
yeah,
it could potentially raise like questions that we're not able to answer, right?
That's right.
Like unless. if we
It's true,
present-
we're not doing the school budget.
Yeah,
Never mind.
so, you know what I mean? I understand, actually, I
Yeah.
like the idea of putting it in context, but at the same time,
The school wouldn't have a budget, they
Right.
still have enough time to have a vote about whether or not the school closes. So we won't really know the budget they're proposing until January 21st.
Okay, never mind. This is chaos.
They've got the thinnest margins to get everything done. I think.
So wait, never mind.
You can ask me during my report if you still.
That's fine, we will.
Right. So moving on to the staffing model conversation.
Yeah, so there were two updates here. One is a draft town administrator job description based on that updated task list and just going through it again after 2 years in the job. And I added some flexibility in there as we discussed so that the town administrator doesn't necessarily have to be the road commissioner or the treasurer, but they need to oversee those functions regardless.
right.
And then I added a few things that were missing, like insurance seems important. And then I went and looked at some other examples and just formatting changes that made sense. So,
Yeah, I think it captures a lot of the feedback that we've been
Okay,
discussing, for sure.
so, you know, it's there for when we need it in the future.
Yeah, no, it's helpful. I just had a question about the working conditions at the end, Kari, because I wasn't
Yes.
sure what the intended meaning was when it
Yeah.
says it's expected to be performed under normal office conditions, and then there's considerable time required outside normal office hours. I didn't know what the under normal office
I
conditions.
copied and pasted that from VLCT, so
Yeah.
maybe that's not the best, but, I see these kinds of things more often now, this working conditions section. I think it's to, you know, set expectations, so
Yeah,
that people
right.
can't come back and say, oh, you never told me
Yeah.
you're working in an office.
Right, right.
Or that I have to attend a lot of meetings, so,
I think, I actually, I kind of like having it in there. It also serves up the opportunity for an employee to come to the select board under extenuating circumstances or pandemic or something to.
No, I like the last
Yeah, yeah.
sentence. It's the one before that I'm unclear.
so it might be qualified as like generally or something,
Well-
like typically.
Well, is it intended to mean you can't work remotely? Because that's not
No,
also
that's
something we want to say, right?
Uh,
I just wasn't sure
yeah,
what the
yeah, I guess
intention
I'm not really
behind it
sure.
was.
You know, I think that it's signaling that you will, you know, you do need to provide
There is an
some customer service in person.
there is an expected in-office component.
Yeah,
Right.
I think that's what it is.
Yeah,
You're expected to work in the office and also
right.
considerable time required outside.
Yeah. So maybe that could be massaged a little.
Yeah, maybe just clarify it a little.
Okay,
But yeah,
good.
looks good. Thanks,
Yep.
thanks for doing all this.
Yeah. So the other one that Tegan and I worked on together, it's just a quick summary of what we think are the essential things that we need from the position that replaces Barbara. And really what it comes down to is a certain amount of reception. It's not a lot, but it's significant that we have, you know, we have somebody, it gets busy in spurts.
And it's
it
such
tends to
an
be mornings.
important thing for everybody, the public, to come in and have a,
And, you know, just anecdotally, I like doing the personal contact, but I was alone today, and it can be really hard to get rolling with stuff when you're
Yeah.
getting phone calls or these interruptions. And then, you know, it takes me a minute to get back and
Sure.
and
Yeah.
again. So anyway, and we've definitely noticed patterns of, especially the mornings, I think, are much busier than the afternoons, and early in the week is definitely busier than later in the week. So that's a part of it. There are a number of pieces that are essentially supporting the town clerk. I'll just speak quickly to the treasurer. The big thing that I need help with is mail, processing the mail and then processing tax payments, which is highly seasonal work, but it's a good amount of work. I'm hoping that our systems over time will more automate that, but for now, that's definitely something that the treasurer needs support with.
And you had gotten feedback on whether or not that's something that could be like outsourced or like contracted. I vaguely remember having a conversation around it, because like it's such a very specific seasonal scope of work. So that strikes me as something like, well, maybe we can like budget for that being work that we hire somebody to like do like as a part-time
The seasonal.
a seasonal
Barbara comes
part-time
back for
position.
tax season.
She said,
She's mentioned it.
yeah, I don't know if she'll fail in 6 months, but she has offered to come back and process tax checks.
And so I thought we had raised that before, and you had some concerns over like whether or not that would, qualify for exemption under employment law because you're dictating the
Right.
scope of work for a particular
Right.
thing. But
Yeah, so that's an option. We're also, just jumping ahead, we're imagining that there's some
Yeah.
flex in this position.
Mhm.
And it just sort of depends on the person that we get, what their interests are, and how things evolve. But we've listed some of the things that we think right off the bat that they could learn and do for the, like, recording secretary is a
Yeah.
possibility we
Yeah.
should discuss. Zoning assistant is another one, I think, that
But
could
it
be
still
really helpful.
stays within the part-time scenario?
How many hours a week are we thinking here?
Yeah, that's
We
the
have
question.
22 hours a week budgeted.
At the bare minimum for like at the window, like 8:30 to 1:30, Monday and Tuesday, like those are Monday, Tuesday morning is the prime time when we really need somebody there. Other than that, it's nice to have, but not as necessary, depending on the time of year and other things. There might be
Yeah.
other times.
So that's at least 10 hours right there. It's just a lot to be
Yeah.
done in that number of hours, it seems like, no?
I don't know. Those two ideas of the recording secretary and the zoning assistant, those are other items separately budgeted.
But yeah,
So if, and like the recording secretary is all outside of normal office hours. So-
But we get into that tough territory if we have one person working 3 or 4 part-time jobs
Yeah.
that cumulously,
Yeah.
Becomes
total a
Yeah,
full-time
yeah,
job,
yeah.
and we're not offering
Yeah,
benefits.
you're
Yeah,
right,
that's
you're right.
Like,
Right.
that gets uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's something to pay attention to.
mhm, mhm.
Yeah, and I think we should approach this like this is, the right person could grow into even more responsible.
Right.
They
Yeah.
could be our future treasurer, for example, who
Mhm.
knows?
I also wonder, what's our time frame on this, and Jana's ability to like, if we're thinking about rolling that position into this, but this isn't happening till March, like, that timing doesn't work
Well,
out
hopefully this
great.
will happen before March. Hopefully this person will have some time to train with Barbara before town meeting, because that would be ideal.
Yeah.
A lot of the specific seasonal stuff happens in February that I need help with. It'd be really nice to have both Barbara and the new person, at least to some extent there. I would like to get this going as soon as we can.
I like the idea of having somebody that's like part-time in the office and then also filling the responsibility of the recording secretary, just because of the points of contact that has in some of the
Yeah.
subcommittees and just kind of governance in general. And I see the flexibility around the part-time work in the office, strategically aligned to offload the heavy burden for interfacing that you guys have, but still leave some of that open period for you to still have those connections, and then starts to that then I think justifies there's these extracurriculars that are after the normal hours. It gives somebody some flexibility there.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to go out to market with with that job description and maybe table the zoning administrator part of it and just see what kind of interest we get in filling that kind of role, and if it seems like it's self-limiting for some reason because that kind of schedule limits their ability to do other stuff in the downtime, then maybe we change course a little bit, but see if we can make that work. You guys have identified that's a structure that would work really well. I think it is interesting to start adding some of the extra items on there, because I think there's a lot of overlapping skill sets, frankly.
Yeah, and something I did mention is probably maybe the most significant thing outside of reception is the liaisoning with all the boards
The
and
committees.
committees.
Yes,
And so
huge.
being a recording secretary, they already have points of contact with 3 of the most important ones.
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing with being at the front desk is some days it's busy and some days it's not. Some days
Right.
we're just sitting there doing our own little projects very quietly for hours. And those have been the days Barbara has gone home to do some gardening or gone home or she said, I'm gonna go do things on my laptop later this week, but I don't really need to be here now. So if the person plans appropriately, then they'll look ahead and be like, what can I do in this gap time where there's not a lot happening? the office, and that way the next week they're already kind of ahead of the game on dealing with committee, commission, appointment type work. Because a lot of that can be and is done ahead of time, and Barbara is always thinking 5 months ahead of where we are. Which we can't rely on the next person doing, but,
Train them up.
yeah.
So, what's the relationship between this job description and the budget as proposed? So the select board assistant and the assistant clerk and the assistant treasurer, your thinking was that would
I would
all be,
align,
all those
pretty well.
lines would be in the 22 hours a week?
yeah, and now I'm wondering if we should go back, take a look at it and craft it so that it includes the recording secretary that stays under the the amount of hours that triggers benefits, and see if that all works.
Yeah.
Come back to you with a job description, and if you'd approve it on the 5th, we can get started with the hiring process, and,
I mean, I'm still living here.
you're around till the summer.
That's fine. I do wonder about whether someone will want to do all that.
Yeah,
I will say, this is just very anecdotal data, but before my life changed a little bit with respect to my dad and some other stuff, then I had planned on trying to apply for Barbara's, like putting my name in the hat while keeping the recording secretary, because I do think, to some of y'all's points, that it's a very natural kind of flowing
That's helpful to hear.
position. So it was something that I was actively going to pursue before I knew that it, just for continuity, it makes sense for me to step down, so that you have that continuity of while Barbara's here and whatnot. But that was something that I was going to pursue.
Great.
And how many hours a week on average are your current?
I don't know, once I submit it to Kari, it goes on.
I can total that up.
Yeah, I'd just be curious.
It's under 10 every 2 weeks.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And ideally, the person who is the new assistant clerk would be here anyway for these meetings. Barbara has attended them
Yeah.
Right.
whenever times have been
Yes.
amenable.
Although it's
Yeah.
hard to speak and take notes. just think.
But I feel like she mostly is taking notes even when she's here.
Yeah.
Okay,
All right,
that sounds like a plan.
great.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
This is really good work, like,
Good.
as we think this through. So Barbara's last day,
She said town meeting-ish. She wants to be done by the end of March.
town meeting,
Ish.
March.
By the end of
Ish.
March. She says in April I'm done.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that's how she's
Okay.
feeling.
Perfect. The town reports, Tegan, any updates?
No. Nothing.
Wait, something about the elections.
Oh, just that, is the school board meeting was canceled last week, or postponed last week because of the snow. But if they decide on Wednesday to hold a vote about closing Calais, they would hold it on January 20th, and then they would need to turn around and be ready to roll into town meeting prep January 23rd, I believe is the day. So they can still squeak it in, we will find out. There's a lot of pressure and intense energy.
Yeah. Wow, okay, thank you.
Kari?
So the bad news is that I finally heard back from Charlie Boyce, is the folks that sold us the truck.
Oh,
And our whole plan for financing the truck and the plow system included a $50,000 trade-in. And then remember, there was like this 2-year delay
yeah.
until the plow was ready. And when we finalized, this salesperson who's new, or new to our account anyway, said, okay, we'll have to take a look at your trade-in and see if it's still worth what we told you. So I kind of had this feeling that something was coming, and this morning, instead of 50, he said 20.
Ugh.
I asked him to write it up, explain. I expressed, strong discontent. I don't think we have a lot of leverage because they're just buying it from us. We're not at a trade-in point anymore because we've already paid them. They've already been paid. It's the plow that we're still waiting on. So I really feel mistreated however, I don't know what leverage we have. The things he said are that in the 2 years since they evaluated it, the back tires are no good, it hasn't been inspected since June, it's got some dents, it's got a check engine light on it, which he himself evaluated when he was there. He had a diagnosis machine and said, oh, that's not a big deal. So I'm not really buying it,
No,
but, other than going to his boss, I don't know.
We recorded this as part of the deal though, or?
It's on there. I don't know if it says estimate or not. It says trade-in value, but they were very clear that could change. And that's the way the next truck with a different dealer has said, is that, by the time it's with the whole craziness of ordering trucks and how
But how
long
long
it
the
takes.
time is
They're providing an
they-
estimate, that's what they said to us, and, Mack, the people who sell Mack trucks, which is the next truck we have in the queue, said, we're usually within 5%. They're not.
And is that's the one that's the backup right now?
That's the backup.
And so did we document by chance like what the mileage was on that truck when they gave us a trade-in estimate?
I'm not
As
sure.
opposed to like what it is now? I mean,
I'm not sure, I can find out.
it'd be interesting to like just see if you're tracking the mileage and, if they're coming up with some discrepancy of, oh, this is a
Yeah.
completely different thing with 2 more years worth of, it's just like, yeah, except we haven't been using it for 2 years. So, I don't know, Secretary of State, this is really pissing me off. Like, this
I know,
is
it's bad.
ridiculous that we have to approve bonding for this kind of stuff in financing, and that these contractors get to just drag us along and then change the terms of our agreement when,
So what I'd like to
Pay for
do is try the auction.
yeah.
That worked out really well with the CV. We got much more than I expected to get.
so auction off the truck.
Auction off the truck.
Auction
Instead of trade-in.
International, yeah. So it's a company that we worked with for the first time on that CV, and they, we set a minimum price, and then we split. They get a fee, but then they're motivated to sell it for more because we split the overage. And and they market it, right? They come and take the photos. They know what they're looking for,
Yeah.
what sells. So I'd like to pursue that, and I already told Charlie Boyce, we're going to pursue selling it ourselves. Is 20 still on the table if we're not able to sell it in say 6 weeks? And I haven't heard back from him about that, but I'm not sure what else to do really, other than like go to the boss or something. But I don't have
I
any
don't
reason
mind
to
going to the boss if you get really stuck with the auction not working.
Yeah, I don't want to burn any bridges, but I also at some point would like to say you're losing our business.
Right, we're not coming back.
Yeah, you can't
Yeah,
challenge like this.
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, it's a completely different stance from the other 2 contractors we've had overages with.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot.
Very responsive
exactly.
to our concerns,
Yeah.
Exactly.
so.
Well, I'm sorry
Well,
having to wrestle with that car. That's really frustrating.
It's been a long saga with the plow and everything.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Do we want to circle back on the Pike conversation here?
Yeah, let me just give you a couple
Yeah.
other ones. So I will let you know about these Montpelier Fire Department meeting, either the 18th or the 22nd, it's looking like. Tomorrow night is that planning commission meeting that, we've been waiting for. Jared did say that the select board would get another chance to look at the draft plan before they finalize it. Because it puts you in a tough position if they're saying, here it is.
Yeah.
It's hard to
So
push
this,
back at that.
tomorrow night is the one with the
Conservation Commission.
conservation and planning.
Yes, to talk about the natural resources section, which is the section that was not updated.
Right.
It's the whole reason
Right.
that we're going through the planning process again.
And is the select board, the planning commission also going through the public comments on the remaining sections?
They've been doing
They've
that.
been doing that, so the whole plan will be updated.
Yeah,
But
but I
this
think
is the
that
big
the
new
significant
section.
changes will happen
Okay,
here, and you are expressly invited to observe this.
tomorrow. And the time tomorrow?
7. I'm gonna zoom in, but
Oh, good.
So is the new plan, is it a complete replacement or is it a redlined version?
I don't know how they're gonna format it,
I
but
think the natural
again, I think the
resources is
natural
completely new.
resources is gonna be the thing that changes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that hadn't been,
They left it as is, knowing that they would have to return to it.
But when we,
It's just a lot harder to deal with something when you don't have a red line version that you can see what changed. you know?
yeah,
And that's a real problem for me, then you gotta have two things open.
I can express that for sure.
Yeah, that's it's real tough to deal with something like that.
Yeah. I don't think they did a red line version last time.
No,
probably
they
'cause
didn't.
There's so many
So many
changes.
Because it's just starting from scratch, really.
Yeah.
They're not,
And that's,
well, you could look at the old, I mean, you'd have to have two documents
Right.
open.
yeah,
Yeah. You-
Because they did start from scratch, each of the Conservation Commission members got a new section, and they all rewrote sections.
Well, and then I just wanted to mention that, so it's been quite a winter already, and if you saw my memo, this road crew put in another 50-hour week, so that was premature. They went back out Friday night because there was a truck went off the road, like a bigger truck went off the road on Singleton, and then they worked Sunday.
they did.
Yeah, they were.
So it was a 60-hour week.
I think the roads look good.
I think the roads look great,
Yeah,
even
no
the
problem.
class 4.
Well, I will pass that along, because there's some exhaustion setting in.
Yeah.
I do think they look great, I mean,
I think they look awesome.
It snows.
they drive great, is what I'm trying to say, not
Yeah.
that they look great.
Right.
It's been such a
Yeah, right.
bang
They
of
drive
snow. It's
Yeah.
just come
Constant.
daily.
It's been real, I mean,
And I
people,
think it
people
would-
have to slow down, there's nothing
Period.
the road crew can do.
Leave 20 minutes earlier. You
Exactly.
can do it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's really,
And I took a closer look at the material that they were putting down, because the point had come up that they're putting down more like granitic.
Yeah, it's whiter,
So it's whiter and you can't see it,
Yeah.
especially if there's been a pass or two over,
Yeah.
and it blends right in.
but it's right there. But to Barbara's point, like they drive really great.
Yeah.
It would be awesome if people would slow down, and that would maybe relieve some of the pressure, I think, that.
Anyway, I'm hoping this week is a little lighter for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it
It's-
is supposed to warm up.
It's gonna be
Supposed to
warm
warm
up, which might be worse, right?
It's
not great.
It'll all turn it into ice.
Let's-
Yeah,
um,
I know.
So
Maybe
that was
we'll
it.
go
We
for-
can talk about Pike now.
Yeah.
So there, Norman said that to me on the phone, when I said 2 wasn't enough. He goes, well, what are you looking for? So I think they're open to hearing it. And
What did we do with Bella Pits? What did we do with them when they were over? Did we pay half and
We-
half, or what did we come in with that?
we said we need a better price, and they said, we'll look at it. Actually, what we suggested was,
Yeah, they
can you
would.
charge us your wholesale cost for the materials and we will cover your labor?
Yeah. I wonder if this is not quite the same, because my guess is that the labor is the labor, and it doesn't.
It's mostly materials.
I think it's mostly
I guess,
materials, but-
there's, the word is bid on that document.
Yeah.
It's not estimate,
It says bid,
Well, it also,
total
when,
bid price.
the,
Little bit price.
and there's the signature, I accept this price in these terms.
Right.
I mean,
yeah. So the way he left it was, tell us what you think.
Yeah.
I'm like, what I think is what it says. I mean, within reason. It's,
Yeah.
it's
Well,
over
that's right.
$9,000 difference.
Yeah, on a percentage basis, it's
It's
huge.
like 60%.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah.
It's
So,
like, normally, I could see 10, I could even see 20, but
Mhm.
not, no.
yeah.
Someone should have come back and said,
Not
hey,
without saying
Right.
something.
We-
Well, on a
Exactly.
percentage basis, what would it be? Would be reasonable? You said something
Yeah.
about it, right?
I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I think like
10,
a
is expected.
5 to 10% difference. If you get to the point at 20%, if you're going through that much material and you already know how much of it is still left to go, and I mean,
Right.
there's no reason in my mind that you wouldn't come back and say, oh, by the way,
Yeah.
we've now used up 80% of the material that we had quoted, and
Yeah.
we still have 60% of the work that we quoted for to do without them saying, this is gonna be a huge increase,
right.
right? I mean,
right,
I mean, 5% is 17,000. 10% would be, what,
About 18, yeah.
Right.
I mean, offering 10% more, when you put it in those terms, that's quite a lot of leeway.
What is this, like 60%?
Yeah.
So he talked a lot about, valuing the relationship and everything. Have we worked with Pike Industries before? They mostly do paving
On
projects?
paving, yeah, I think
So,
it
and
was
you
10
said the
years
last
ago.
time was 10 years ago,
Something like that, yeah.
but we do have Marshfield Road coming up.
Yes.
Yeah, and I want to apologize, I didn't mean to go off the cuff on saying like, we'll promise you some work next year. That really wasn't my intent, but like in a normal environment, like if you had a scope of work that you knew needed to be done in the future, that seemed like a natural place to
Yeah.
signal that there's an opportunity to continue to work with you, but this is pretty unacceptable.
Right. I
So,
think you did that, I think that, and he wanted, he was signaling the same, that,
I mean, the document does say bid price, and it says that, and we took them at their word. And I just, it's one of those things, there's really not a lot of gray area here.
Right.
And I wanna be fair, they did use more material, but,
Even 20% is 19,483, right? Like, I'm using these, like you upcharge 20%,
that's a huge overage.
that's wildly reasonable if we were to offer such a thing.
did he have an offer? Or
No, he
No,
was
he
leaving it
just
for us
left it
to
there.
say.
Well, no, they offered 2 originally, remember? That was
A
I reported
reduction
that
of 2,000.
last
A
week,
reduction of
And you-
2,000.
and you said
And we said,
that- that's
That would only bring it down to 24, which
Right.
is,
Yeah, that's
change.
not
I
okay.
mean,
I think framing it in terms of percentages is a good idea. I mean, you're right, 20% is a huge overage.
It's-
That doesn't exist in the real world,
right?
for the most part.
And we are in, like, I think we are the ones who should be saying, we can be saying, yes, we would like to work with you in the future, but this is clearly not an acceptable situation, so
Right.
let's resolve this quickly and move on.
Well, and in order to work with you in the future, we have to know that you're gonna come in within a reasonable
Well,
percentage of a
Yeah.
price,
you're gonna do it for the price you quoted,
Right,
or talk to
exactly.
us.
right.
Yeah.
Kari, do you feel comfortable going back to them with 10% over the original
I'm
bid?
comfortable with it, whatever you want to do.
10%
It's
is
not
what?
personal.
Did you tell us a 10% number?
10% was
That'd be 1,600 plus.
5% is 17,047.
17,859 is 10% over. I mean, I don't know if that's
Well, 10%
insultingly
over is-
low.
Well,
I can go.
Prepared to go 20,
There-
but with the caveat, in the future, this can't happen again. But, I don't know. I don't even want to do that. But
they said nothing until the job was finished, at which point he said, oh, we use more materials.
Right.
Yeah.
That's not the way it's done.
No, no. I'm happy to spend some more time trying to get into what the actual costs on the material are
I
and
don't
that
think
sort of
that's
thing,
worth
but
your
like,
time.
just to say that 10% is as close as we could get on consensus with, among the board, given the conditions.
The board
And-
feels like 10% is a huge overage, and, yeah.
It's what we're prepared to pay. Okay.
Have you looked at our budget lately? All right.
And board was firm that you said bid. It says bid right on the document.
Yeah.
It's not, the word estimate is not there.
Yeah, and this language too,
Yeah.
the above prices. are
Total bid
satisfactory.
price.
Yeah.
Sure does. I'm more impressed with the accepted, the above prices,
Yeah.
specifications, and conditions are satisfactory and hereby accepted.
Right.
Okay, and they confirmed.
You know, it's like it's a learning exercise, and
Yes.
why should we do all the learning?
Well, right. But, I mean, Jordan, you said earlier, this happened twice this year, let's think about what we can do.
Right, I mean, certainly with these folks, I think, we might do a not to exceed in the
Yeah.
future.
We had just done that on the patchwork, right? That's the crazy thing.
Right, yeah,
Yeah,
That
yeah,
works
yeah.
so well.
Mhm.
yeah. But we just didn't,
Didn't think of it.
Different,
No, I-
different person? Pat, no?
No, same.
Same.
Okay.
My thought was, when we go out to bid on Marshfield Road next year, that we include shoulder work,
yeah.
and then whatever we settle on is a not to
Yeah,
exceed.
there's
That's
some
the other
other
thing, I
shoulders.
didn't even want to bring it up because I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I remember that number being $12,000 when we had the original bid for that segment, and then that was my recollection, it was like $12,000, we can save $12,000 if we self-perform, and it's like, okay, so we decided to self-perform at that time, and then we come back, do the math, and end up somewhere around $16,000, but it was going to be more than the area that we had previously talked
Right.
about, because we were adding more scope to the work, so now we're in the ballpark, and then for that number to then grow to $26,000, like the math isn't checking unless there was a hole that they were literally dumping
Some of those
gravel
mailboxes
into.
Yeah.
For sure, way off of the tarmac, but like,
I heard that from the postal carrier before.
Yeah.
but still, that would have been a even
Also,
if.
like, but it's great the postal carrier thinks that, but maybe they should check back with the people who are paying the bill about, instead of the post, I mean,
A passerby told us to pave more.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Pave my driveway.
But that
not
over,
worth the pay.
That sounds good for it.
Right,
Yeah.
Yeah.
no.
Okay, I think we're good.
Okay, thank you, Kari.
Thank you, Kari.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Kari, anything else, or?
That was it.
Yes, town seal. And before I get to town seal, do you want our select board report in the town report to mention the town hall? I forgot to ask that. And that we're in discussions and it's open, like we could mention.
Oh,
that
that'd be
they
good,
have-
positive, I like
Okay,
that,
okay.
yeah. I mean, they're doing their report right now, or they've done it and submitted it.
Oh, great, okay. So yes, we should say they had a big opening, it's open, we're working with them, the Friends, to make it.
We're,
Select board,
the select board
is
wants to
excited.
excited to make sure the public is fully aware of the use of the hall and
okay,
excited about what's to come.
all right, you'll see it in the next version, thank you.
Thank you for thinking of that, I did not think of it.
Okay, so for the town seal, I submitted a question to VLCT, because there's actually restrictions on how you can use the state seal. But for a town seal, there's pretty much not. So the concern is that you don't want someone to use it for some fraudulent purpose or in some way that would damage the town. So they're basically suggesting you can let someone use it on the condition that it's not used fraudulently or misused or associated with activities that could harm the municipality's reputation or interest. That's his language. But it made me wonder, what should we be thinking about? If we want people to use the seal, should we have some guidelines? Like, do you want the seal used on any object, only T-shirts? I mean, or do
Here?
you?
I mean,
Right.
Honestly.
There would be some things you wouldn't want your
Right.
seal on. So, do we need to have some people write some guidelines or something. It seems like the town seal is special. A logo is different
Right,
from
branding
a
is
seal.
different than
This,
seal.
exactly. It's not a brand, it's not a logo, it's the official document that says the town of Calais did this. So,
I'm of the opinion we table this until later.
no, we can't take any action anyway. I just wanted to, tell you what VLCT said and raise the thought that maybe we wanna give it some more thought.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Can I just point
I'm
out that
against using
it's
personal.
currently the letterhead we use on everything.
Right.
So if you don't want it as accessible to people, we would also have to talk about changing it. I know at some point back in the day, we had a different letterhead because I had old versions in my files and I have newer versions in my files, so we used to use different something without the seal.
But the letterhead is an official town.
It is, it's just, it's also a thing anyone could look at and probably copy fairly easily if they wanted to be
Well,
fraudulent.
but that's different
Yeah.
than
Giving permission.
giving permission out there, you know, it's,
I'm not saying it's good or
Yeah.
bad, I just wanted you to keep that in your awareness of what we are and aren't doing with our seal.
Okay.
Well, thank you for going and
Yeah.
soliciting that.
I was
curious.
curious, so.
yeah.
I think the need, urgency around the need is probably past at this point, so we can,
Yeah, and I don't
Maybe so.
have, strong feelings one way or the other. It was friends of Calais who were talking about it, and I was like, oh yeah, that's a cool idea. I'd totally, sell
be
all our
fun.
bottles
Yeah,
with
why
a town
not?
seal on it. People would probably like that. But I'm not like,
But Friends of Calais was not proposing it as a fundraiser.
Right.
It was just to sell
just to,
stuff.
yeah,
it was just an idea.
yeah.
Parker really wants a callus shirt.
But see, so that's you could order a shirt that says Calais across the front of it.
Right, that's
There's
not the
lots
seal.
of towns that do that, right? But the seal is an official thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever. Okay,
Thank you.
you are welcome.
Meeting adjourned.